Bonkers.
I wake up every day is a daydream. Everything in my life ain't what it seems. I wake up just to go back to sleep. I act real shallow, but I'm in too deep. And all I care about is sex and violence. A heavy baseline is my kind of silence. Everybody says that I gotta get a grip, but I let sanity give me the slip.
Bonkers.
Some people think I'm bonkers, but I just think I'm free. And I'm just living my life, there's nothing crazy about me. Some people pay for thrills, but I get mine for free. Man, I'm just living my life, there's nothing crazy about me. Yeah, man, in the floor now. Back then.
Evening all. Hope everybody's keeping well. Welcome back to Beyond the Lane, episode 13. We have two great guests on tonight. Carl from that Spurs podcast and HazSpurTV. Hope you guys are doing good. Thanks for coming on tonight. Carl, how are you, man?
Yeah, really pleased to be on, mate. Absolute pleasure to be streaming with you guys tonight and looking forward to chatting all things Spurs as normal.
Oh, good, mate. Lovely to meet you, mate.
And you boys.
And Haz, how are you, man?
Yeah, I'm good. Just typical Spurs, really. So we'll just talk about it in a bit. But apart from that, I'm actually all right. Yeah, I'm good.
And Nige, how are you, man?
I'm good, mate. Yeah, 13 shows in. That's not bad, is it?
Yeah,
it's flying. Yeah,
flying.
You good?
Yeah, I'm all right, man. Usual busy day, but here we're here. Let's have some fun tonight. Big up to everybody in the chat. Big up to everybody watching at home. Hope everybody's keeping well. Get involved with your comments throughout the night. Got a packed show. Got a lot to get into. Look, please, guys, remember to subscribe to myself, Nige, HazSpurTV, and Carl at that podcast, Spurs podcast. And we've also got Alex, Mr. Box Office, joining us at some point throughout the evening. And also we've got a Man United fan, another YouTuber, coming on as well when we preview the Man United and Spurs game on Thursday. So yeah, it'll be good. So he'll jump on a bit later as well. So look, where do we start with this tonight? So everybody, Spurs are back, eh? The mighty Spurs are back. But Bergvall is the new Modric.
Yeah.
Spence, he's one of the best right backs in the league. We're a much better team without Basuma, I've heard. And another thing as well, a lot of people have been saying we only lose games by 1 goal. So, you know, look, Ange's doing all right, isn't he? No, guys, seriously, look, we beat Southampton, bottom of the league. They just sacked their manager. And of course, like, we needed that win, but, you know, we know how this all goes. You know, the real tests are coming up in the next 3 matches, playing Man United, Liverpool and Nottingham Forest. So, look, it's a lot to get into tonight. So, yeah, we're going to be covering that Southampton game, talk a bit about that. Then we're going to preview. We're going to talk about, a bit about our manager, Ange, Big Ange. And the title of the show is called Bonkers, because I think our manager is absolute bonkers. I'm sure a lot of you agree as well. Yeah, he stands his ground, he sticks to his word. And I've got to read out a few comments of what he said recently as well about that. But we'll get on to that. So, look, we'll be previewing the Man United game. We'll be previewing the Liverpool game. And, yeah, look, let's get into it, guys. Look, let's start with Haz. What's your thoughts on that Southampton match?
Well, pretty routine, really. There's a reason why Southampton are on 5 points and they sacked Russell Martin. So we kind of went there, got a couple early goals. After the third one went in, I was like, game over, even though it was still like, 75 minutes left. But there's a reason why they're bottom of the league with 5 points, 1 win in 15, 16 games now, 2 draws. And Russell Martin, so I was discussing this in WhatsApp with one of my brother's mates, a Spurs fan, about which managers we thought were worse than Ange in the league. And Russell Martin was the one that came up to mind as well. This was weeks ago. So for me, us beating Southampton is not a massive achievement. But yeah, he got sacked later on. and it was just a good win. But it doesn't really change my feelings towards like us as a whole, really, to be honest. So,
yeah, thanks for that, Haz. Carl, what's your thoughts on that match?
Well, do you know what? I was going into the game a little bit nervous, if you like, because I thought this was potentially Spurs away from home. You can't ever assume that Spurs going away from home can get themselves a result. And, you know, given Southampton's form and where they were in the league, you just kind of thought this is Spurs setting ourselves up to kind of go there, get beat, and then again everyone can say Spursy performance, Dr. Tottenham came. But obviously we didn't realise how bad Southampton were. Now, we knew they weren't great being in the position they're in the league, and when you've seen some of the goals they've given away this year, you think, wow, this is a side in trouble. But honestly, Ange probably couldn't have hoped for a better game to come along than that Southampton game, because he was in big trouble. And ultimately now that win probably buys him a bit more time, you know, again, puts those fans who might have just been thinking about turning and thinking, oh, I'm not sure if this can work. A win like that suddenly makes them think, no, this is it. This is the project. See, this, you know, we can go where we need to go with Ange. But I'm like Haz, to be honest, you know, when you saw Southampton fans after the game, when they're telling you that this was a worse performance than when they got beat 9-0 by Leicester, you're realising how bad a performance that was from them. So I'm a bit like Haz. I'm not going to read too much into that victory. You have to sit there and say, job done. Well done for going there, getting the job done, putting the team to the sword, because if we'd gone there and just won 1-2-0, 2-1, and it was tight, you'd go, okay, they've still won. But they were a team that were there for the taking. We put our foot on their neck and we just kept putting pressure on. And that was nice to see. And you have to give some form of credit to that. But that's about as far as it goes. You know, you can't start trying to read too much into that performance, thinking this is Spurs now that can go on a consistent run of 7-8 games and brush teams aside. This isn't, you can't look at players like Bergvall. And as you said, you know, I'm hearing second coming of Luka Modric or players like that. And you think, listen, he was okay, but he still gave the ball away far too often than he should have done. And it was this poor Southampton team. So if those players and that team can do that against United on Thursday, then against Liverpool again on Sunday, you might be able to then start thinking, maybe. But we know what sort of season this is, doesn't it? It wouldn't surprise you now if we go and lose the next 3 games in a row and we'll be back to square one again.
I get it, man. Totally agree. Yeah, a lot of what you said there, man. Nige, your thoughts on that Southampton game before we kind of look into it a little bit more?
I was very much the same as the guys. I was a little bit nervous before the game because I'm like, this is the sort of game we lose. But yeah, 10 minutes in, they were probably one of the worst teams I've seen in Premier League history. Listen, I live near Swindon and they're bad, but Southampton are worse by
do
far.
you remember that Derby team
yeah,
back in the day? Like, it reminded me of them.
Yeah. I just, you know, the only disappointing thing for me is that, you know, 5-0 up at half-time, we didn't push on second half, but I totally understand why we didn't as well. But yeah, it's a win and, you know, there's bigger fish to fry out there. So we'll see how we get on the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, cheers, Nige. Cheers. Let's say hello to a few people in the chat before we move on. Big up, Mark. Hope you're well, mate. I hope you're good. Big up, Tom. Hope you're okay, man. Thanks for joining us tonight. We got Top Spur there. Big up to you as well, man. Hope you're good. And Jeff. Hello, Jeff. Hope you're keeping well, buddy. And George. Hello, George. How are you? Hope you're good. Kiwi Spurs TV. Thanks for joining us as well. Hope you're good. And who else we got? Simply Ace. Hello, Simply Ace. Thanks for joining us. I hope you're all good. And big up, Fran. Hope you're well as well. Thank you for joining us. Look, Nige, let's get up the... I've prepared a few slides about the Southampton match. There's a few things I want to look at and for us to all discuss. So let's get going with that. So let's just start off with the lineup. Now, is that the lineup that you expected on Sunday?
Well, bear in mind we were missing Bissouma and Bentancur because of a suspension. I don't think he had any other choice but to really put Bergvall in. I mean, unless he's going to move Archie Gray into the 6, which apparently is the number 6. But I think we're limited in that back as well. I know some people might point to the Porro omission, but was it so much of a surprise when we got United on Thursday? I don't know. I'm quite 50-50 about that. But yes and no. The only thing was the Porro thing, really. He could have played him. He could have not played him. And of course, Spence was the one everyone's going to point to where it was a surprise. But I mean, he doesn't want to use Reguilon, so we're not going to get that either. So it's either Spence or no one at fullback.
So you were thinking Bergvall was coming in. That was you were okay with that, and Spence playing. But was it probably what you expected then?
Pretty much. The only thing is you could have just swapped Spence with Porro, but to be honest, I don't really look at our personnel that much anymore because we tend to put pretty much the same team every week, minus maybe 1 or 2 who are due to injuries or suspensions, and then we might in the midweek rest 2-3 players because obviously we're short on numbers anyway. But I'm more looking at the way we're playing, the style we're playing, more than anything else.
Okie dokie. Anybody else? Carl, was it what you expected?
Yeah, it kind of was, especially the midfield 3 and then the front 3, because after that game against Rangers, I've just got sick and tired of Johnson being out on the wing because, we've got a winger that is scared to actually take anyone on. And the amount of times he'd received the ball against Rangers and instantly you can see fear kick in and the guy turns round basically hoping the fullback is there so that he can just pass it back to him. So right now, I much prefer to see Kulusevski out on that right-hand side because I feel that he at least is prepared to run at his man, take him on. He can cut back in and whip dangerous balls into the box. So I was reasonably happy with that front 3 and the midfield 3. And then obviously defensively, we don't really have many options, do we? Gray's got to play there at the moment, given the injuries. And obviously Porro, again, I thought in that Rangers game just looked dead on his feet, didn't he? He looked so tired, especially when you consider their goal. He just wasn't covering round like you would expect him to. So I think Ange didn't really have much of a choice and to think, I need to give this guy some minutes rest. And as Haz says, especially when you got United coming up in midweek, which is a big game for us. So, yeah, wasn't utterly surprised. And, the good thing is Spence has kind of not made Ange look silly, but it's asked the question, why haven't you given this guy more minutes? And why didn't you include him in the Europa League squad at the beginning when you should have done to give him more minutes? Because he's, he proved in the League Cup game against Coventry, came on and changed that game for us and kept us in that competition. And it was clear that there was a half decent player in there that needed to be given minutes and given time. And, when you look at what he did for that first goal, he's given Ange a bit of a headache over there, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Myself, I'll come to you in a minute, Nige. I was happy Maddison was put in the team. He's got the best goals and assists this season. You need to play him. So I was really happy he was there. Bergvall, we heard before the game that he was likely to play after his second half showing against Rangers. So, yeah, and I was happy that Spence was in the team. We haven't seen enough of him this season for whatever reason. Who knows? But he was good. And he made an impact immediately, didn't he, with that turn and run. And he played that through ball into Maddison to score on 37 seconds. Nige, what about you? Lineup, what do you think?
I'm not overly surprised. It was probably best of what we could pick. Maybe he could have played Kulu in the middle and stuck Johnson out. But if ever you're going to give Bergvall his debut, is going to be against Southampton, isn't it? So, yeah, not entirely surprised.
Okie dokie. So, look, let's have a look at some of the stats on the game. It was the first half, which was the most impressive thing for us. We started really fast. We went 3 up. What was that? Within 15 minutes, guys, wasn't it? Or was it 10 minutes?
About 15, wasn't it? 3 up in
15,
15, and that's when their supporters already started piling out of the ground, didn't they?
Yeah. So it was a great start. That's what you want, isn't it? You know, you want us to get in there, get a goal, get 2 goals. Do you guys on the panel, do you think it was one of, you know, that thing that we do to teams where we blitz them? Do you think it was a bit of that?
I think we know is what this team's capable of, isn't it? When they come up against a team that will allow it, we can have those 10, 15-minute spells where suddenly we score three goals and kill the game off. And as I said earlier, you couldn't have hoped for a better team to come up against, could we? Because Southampton, defending as naively as they do, they were always going to be a team that would give us chances and be one of those teams that we could blitz in a 10, 15-minute spell. And as it proved on the night.
And it was early this time.
For me, I don't know if you saw Russell Martin's interview before the game, and in his press conference before the game, he talks a lot about how he not worships Ange, but he, you know, he's a fan of Ange because he plays open football and stuff like that. And I know because I watched a bit of Southampton last season when they were in the Championship, and I've watched a bit of them here and there this season. They play very open, like they're almost as open as us. And I just think, just because by default we have better quality, we're always going to win the game. And I just think the first 15 minutes
has. Look at that.
Sorry?
Look at their average position on the picture. If you can see.
Yeah, I know.
Look how high their line is.
Mm.
And exposing their wings a bit like we do.
So it was just a matter of the fact we have better quality players, and that's
yeah. I mean, it was funny. Carragher said last week in the Chelsea game, didn't he, that Spurs are just a better Southampton.
Did he? Oh no!
At the moment.
He said a lot about Tottenham, but I missed that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that, and I just think because they're as open as us, really. I just think it was just easy pick into it because we just took control of the ball and that was it.
Yeah.
It helped the fact we scored in the first 16, 30 odd seconds, whatever.
It settled any nerves, didn't it? Because suddenly you thought, right, okay, 1 up now. You know, I think the longer that game had gone on at 0-0, if that game gets to half time at 0-0 possibly, and then 50, 60 minutes in, you're starting to sit there and think, oh, hang on a minute. They'll start growing into the game. But that kind of just crushed them within a minute. And then, you know, from that point on, they just lost their heads, didn't they? And like I say, we are the perfect team. They had a perfect team for us to kind of take advantage of that.
So Carl, do you think we were good, or do you think Southampton are just really bad?
I'll be honest with you. I think it's just a really bad Southampton team. And to be honest, it's that first 45 minutes, I think probably goes down as probably the worst 45 minutes of a Premier League has ever shown. And their supporters have even come out and said, listen, you know, we've not seen anything as bad as that for a long, long while. So, like I say, you've got to take advantage of it. So we can't knock Maddison for getting the 2 goals he did. They were well taken goals. You know, Son's one was a well taken goal. Kulu's you're not going to miss from there. But like I said earlier, you've got to still have that desire to put your foot on a team's neck and just keep pressing till they're done. And we did that in that first 45 minutes. So we have to give some credit for doing that. But again, I'm not going to read too much into it thinking, oh, yeah, the team has clicked and you wait now. This is it. This is the new Spurs that are going to go forward from here. Because I think Man United, Liverpool, and especially Forest away from home, they will really show where this team is at, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. So if you look at the first half stats, I mean, it was complete domination, wasn't it? 16 shots, 5 big chances. We outpassed them. Yeah, just totally outplayed them possession-wise, 66%. Nige, anything there that you want to pick up on in that first half?
No, it's just a really dominant first half performance. Like Carl said, I think Southampton were that poor. I want to give Spurs a bit of credit. You know, they did what they had to do. They were clinical. But yeah, I mean, it was just a fantastic first half performance by Spurs and a really poor first half performance by Southampton.
I mean, we have almost twice as many passes as them, which I found quite interesting in the first half. So clearly we just got the ball and that was it. That's what it felt like to me watching it. And just the quality we had, even though our quality is not always the best, compared to Southampton's kind of just shone through. And obviously they changed their formation a few times eventually in the half, but it seemed to stem the tide. So I don't, yeah.
Look, Southampton, they're very poor. That's why they're bottom of the league. 13 defeats now after Sunday. It was the ideal game for us, really, wasn't it? Now, there's some questions around our fullbacks that people have said that they weren't inverting. So I just want to bring up the players and their positions in the game. And we're going to look at the three fullbacks because there was a change. The doggy went off in the first half, didn't he? And Spence switched over and Porro came on. So let's have a little look at that and see if that is true. So let's have a look at their average positions there. Anybody can take that first. What are their thoughts on it?
I think the thing is, in this game, I think because Southampton were trying to invert their fullbacks, it was easy to take advantage of the space they were leaving down that side, wasn't it? So, you know, we probably didn't feel the need to invert as much in this game because it's a bit like, well, listen, we've got all day down the wings here, so just keep taking advantage of it. And when the game's as comfortable as it is, you know, when you've got most of the ball, you're always going to be comfortable. So, again, this will be completely different after the United game, after the Liverpool game, because they'll have a lot more of an even share of the football, and dare say Liverpool probably have more of the ball than us. So this doesn't surprise me. I think this is the problem, isn't it? No one can really try to read too much into what we saw on Sunday. You kind of have to go, well, listen, there was probably good amateur sides that would have given Southampton a real decent game on the weekend, and I'd expect Tamworth to probably give us more of a game than Southampton did on Sunday. So yeah, it's hard to kind of read anything into these because Southampton were just making it so easy for us.
So you don't think it was a tactic by Ange to not invert, or do you think it was just?
I don't think so, because we've seen Ange won't veer away from what he wants to do. I just think you've fallen into playing against a team that are letting you know, listen, you don't need to because all the space is here. You know, when you showed their average positions there, the wings were free all day long. So if you've got a team that are basically saying to you, listen, come at us and you can get down the wings is ideal for you, then you don't actually need those players to invert, do you? But I wouldn't say that's necessarily Ange making a point to say don't invert. It's just the way the game panned out, a bit like Man City away from home. Again, I don't think Ange changed anything tactically in that game. You just come up against a side that are going to have the majority of the ball, pin you back. So you don't have much choice other than to sit in a flat back four, kind of defending and then going forward, because the game dictated it. It wasn't that Ange made these changes that suddenly, you know, outfoxed Pep. City will have the ball and pin you back, and you have to defend deep and you have to defend in numbers, and we're the perfect side to break on any team and counter. So it kind of played into our hands, and this is probably a similar situation with the way the opposition played.
I think the problem we have with Ange, in the sense of judging whether he's done anything tactically different or not, is because we don't see much of the touchline. We don't see him, say, pointing this way, pointing that way. Like other managers, like 99% of other managers in the league, it's hard to gauge whether he did anything like tactically in a game to change it, if that makes sense. Like I don't see him barking out instructions. I see the coaches come on the pitch sometimes and do something every maybe 20 minutes or something on average. But whether that's to do with them not staying inverted, for example, or them not high enough or something on the pitch, or like that's what it seems like to me. But then you don't see he himself say, oh, guys, change to this. Or if a player comes on, like I remember back in the day, they'll give them instructions 3, 2, you know, I'm trying to say, like changing the formations. And it's quite hard to gauge whether he's like the City game or this game or any game where we see us play non-Ange ball, let's say, as late as that, whether it was on purpose or whether it was just the players decided, okay, I can't invert today because I'm playing against X or something, or I decided.
You don't agree with Carl Hass? Do you agree with him, or that he did?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I'm just saying it's hard. I'm playing devil advocate, I guess. It's because some people will say, well, he did change the system against Man City, and the problem with us is we can't make a definitive. And by the way, people know my things on Ange, but like you can't make a definitive saying that he doesn't, because he doesn't show enough on the touchline to give it either way, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think with Ange, we've seen enough from him in previous games to know that he won't divert from what he's doing. And he's told us he won't come away from his philosophy. So I find it hard to believe that he will ever change anything tactically from what he does on a normal match day. And it will only be by chance that something does change. Because if he changed something against Man City and got that brilliant win, surely as a manager who's made a tweak, you'd come out after the game and go, well, I knew I had to do something different today going up against Pep and Man City. So what I told the boys not to do this. We were going to try this and try that. You'd want to try and promote that you've tactically outsmarted another manager, wouldn't you? And he never said anything like that. So that's why I think when we've had these games, it's more by luck than design. You know, we've just ended up, City were pinning us back in our own half. So it's hard to invert when they're wide men and getting the ball.
Some people might argue the other way. I'm not saying I believe this, by the way. I'm saying some people might argue the other way because you don't see enough off the touchline to kind of judge either way whether he did something different or not. Like you said, because he's repeatedly said, I'm stick to what I do, but then it's just, I agree with your stance. I'm just saying some people might argue the other way.
Yeah. A lot of people after that City game were like, oh, see, Ange learned. He dropped the fullbacks back. We knew we were going to hit him on the break. And I'm just not buying
I was
it.
At the game, for example, for a personal standpoint, when we won 2-1, I thought it was just them picking us back.
I think so. Yeah, I think, City are that team. City were perfect for us because City are not scared of anyone. So they don't change their tactics when they come up against anyone because they're like, listen, we'll play you off the park. No matter what you do, we're going to stick and we're going to play you off the park. So they're perfect for us. It's why we've had such a good record against Man City because they'll play a high line. Our guys can run in behind and take advantage of that space. I don't think we've had and Conte and Jose fell on that, didn't they? Listen, sit back, defend deep, use Kane and Son and smash them on the break. And it's worked. And I still think it's worked this year for us. For me, it's not anything the manager's done.
Basically. Yeah.
Southampton are also perfect for us, weren't they? Because they play the way they play and they're not going to change either. So again, another team that were perfect for us. But I'm actually quite surprised by those heat maps because I thought they did invert.
I thought so.
I didn't really take a lot of notice, but the first goal we scored, Spence looked quite inverted because
he definitely did. Yeah, for the first goal,
so,
Spence was well in. Yeah.
Yeah, well, what do people in the
game? I don't know about Porro, but I thought Spence was and Destiny was 100%.
Yeah, it's difficult. We'll see, won't we? We'll see the next game and have a look at it and see what if Ange just sticks to the same way of playing. Okay, let's move on from that. Let's move on to a couple of performances in the team. Maddison. Let's start off with Maddison. I mean, he got 2 goals. He was, he took his goals well in that first half. What did people think? I know it's the opposition is poor, but it's good to see him getting involved, you know?
You give Maddison time and space and he will hurt you. And it was a perfect game for him. He had all the time and all the space in the world to pick out passes, make runs. No one followed him. It was a perfect game for Maddison. And, I saw a lot of people on YouTube calling out Maddison, saying that they want him out of the club. And I just think it's absolutely crazy. I think he's our best player.
I think Maddison kind of mirrored what happened in the Man City game, didn't he? If we play an opposition who are prepared to let him sit in that pocket, pick the ball up, not be tightly man-marked or not have a low block side where it's all too cramped, Maddison is great because he can take advantage. Like I say, if you give him time and space on the ball, it'll hurt you. And although he didn't get an assist, it's normally his passes that are starting an attack that can lead to a goal. And, just recently he's had a good eye for goal as well, isn't he? So, you can't moan about anything Maddison did on that night. And the second goal the drag back and the shot from that angle was a really good finish. The same as the first. The first was a really good finish as well. That early in the game could be rusty. You know, you could excuse him for maybe skying it or something like that. But yeah, when Maddison plays against a team that are prepared to give him space and let him work in that pocket of space in midfield, he'll kill you.
Just quickly before we move on, Lord Rodney Trotter, big up to you, man. He says, this is going back in the last bit we're talking about. If you look at the early goals in the City game, we had a lot of fortune. The Chelsea game was very similar, but Chelsea were just better than City in that moment. What are people's thoughts on that?
What do you mean fortune?
I think he means the Cucurella slips in terms of the Chelsea game.
I get that, but I'm thinking about the City game. If we're talking about Spurs pressing really high and forcing City into mistakes, I don't think that's fortune. I think that's good play. I'd agree with the Chelsea one was, yeah. But again, you could say we forced Cucurella to panic. And, you know, I think you make your own luck in football. And I think, yeah, I'm not sure I agree with that.
For me, with Maddison, right, I think there's still an issue between him and Ange. I know it's just my opinion, right? And I think these games, I think he played him against Southampton, for example, because he's probably not going to play him in midweek. I think he'll play Kulusevski in the 10 and Johnson on the right, unfortunately. But I'll be surprised if he plays him. And I think this was just a game where he's going to excel anyway because of playing poor opposition. But on the whole, I just don't think he plays Maddison to his strengths anyway. And I just think the scenarios where he's played like City, because they had so many people up, he had a lot more space. And he obviously took advantage of it. And it's no surprise that when Kulusevski was on the right in this game and he was in the middle, that because they gave us so much space, we did really well because you essentially have 2 10s and one coming off like an inside forward. So I thought he was really good against Southampton. Obviously, second goal I really liked. I thought it was like a really nice goal, proper like throwback. But I just think we need to play him higher up the pitch, and that's to get the best out of him. And I just
do you think of the heat map has? If you look at his heat map on the day, where he was
inside left channel.
Yeah.
Do
you think he was higher than normal?
Yeah, well, earlier in the season when I've seen him before, say the City game, he was just so deep because we just didn't have the room. And I just think
the thing is though as well, you would play that, he would play that high against Southampton because when you know you've got an opposition that are just all over the place, defensively you don't need him back for cover, do you? Because you're sitting there going, this team are offering nothing from an attacking threat. So the 4 we've got covering the defensive unit, they can handle what's being thrown at them. This is about attacking, and I don't want a playmaker at that point dropping deep in a game like that. You can sit higher up the pitch because all you're looking to do is say, listen, as soon as they lose it and turn it over, we're going to play you in. And from that point, you're high up the pitch and you've got the freedom to go roam, do what you want to do, find where those pockets of space are. And like I say, Maddison is the perfect player for that. Where we've seen Maddison struggle is at home against the likes of Ipswich and Fulham because they've dropped deep. They're limiting that space in those pockets. Your 2, Doggy and Porro, are coming in, which is also crowding that midfield area where he wants to play. And then he can't have that freedom to pick those passes. Whereas against Southampton and Man City, they didn't mind him being in them pockets because, like I say, Southampton just kamikaze football. Man City are not scared, so they don't feel like they need to man mark anyone because they're like, listen, we'll have the ball, we're better than you. And Maddison will thrive in those games. I agree with Haz. He may change it Thursday because he may not feel Maddison will get that space, but in some ways, that's what we want, isn't it? A manager who knows when to play a certain player in a certain position and what games he probably won't work as well in.
Look, so the fullbacks weren't inverting in, looking at the heat map. So that's why Maddison did have more. He was better, wasn't he? We've seen that in the past when the fullbacks haven't inverted as much. So it's something that we need to keep going, I think, and hopefully we see that against Man United. And Liverpool at the weekend. Now, let's have a discussion about Bergvall. Now, the new Luka Modric, people are saying, seriously, let's have a look at his performance. Now, I mean, some people said he was no good. Let's look at some of the data there. So he was pretty secure on the ball. You know, he 47 out of 48 passes. And I think, Carl, you said earlier that he was giving the ball away a bit. Do you think that these stats are wrong, or?
Well, for me, there was a lot of what I call unforced errors in his game where, you know, like there, none of that is showing given, you know, passes given or not complete. And I'm not saying, like I say, I'm not saying he had a bad game. He had an okay game. But I have not seen anything from Bergvall that I didn't see from the likes of Winks or Oliver Skipp when they first came into the Spurs side. Nice, neat, can keep it, can be neat on the ball. I'm still not seeing anything that makes me think, oh yeah, this kid is really going to develop into a player. You can see this kid has really got it. Like I say, if I was judging him right now, I'd say, yes, he's young. He still needs time to develop. You know, maybe a loan could be something that's good for him to learn. But am I seeing anything special? No. Like I say, I think if I was to, I'd say I saw just as good as stuff from Skipp and Winks when they first came in the team. And ultimately, as they say, they didn't develop any further than what they were, which was neat, tidy players, but not players going to take you on to the next level. And I'm hoping Bergvall proves me wrong. But it was an okay performance. But the way some people are talking on Twitter, like I said, oh, this is why we must see Bergvall start against Liverpool. And you're just sitting there going, listen, this was against a poor Southampton side. You stick him in that midfield against Liverpool, he will get destroyed. And they will pick him as the weak link to go through all the time. And that's not a fault of his. He's 18. Can't just come into this sort of level of football from the Swedish league. So we've got to expect these sort of performances, but it wasn't as good as I think as people on X are starting to try and claim, you know. That's just for me.
It's not fair on the kid, is it? It really is.
No, it's way too much pressure on a kid, you know, who had an okay game. But I think the trouble is nowadays we have fans that a player might have an okay game, but because he's the young signing and big coming in the summer with a big hype around him, we feel this need to sort of, he was amazing. And you're sort of going...
I think for me, like with Bergvall, and it's the same with Gray, it's the same with any other youngster, apart from maybe Mikey Moore, where I thought I saw something a bit more. I think they're like, I'll just use this word, meh. Like, I'm not seeing anything that I think, wow, he's a special player. Okay, they're still young. Maybe in 2-3 years, I might see something different. Like, with, you know, but when I look at someone even like Bale, when we signed Bale, or Lennon even, I was excited when I saw them play. Like, I felt, you know, they could do something. But when I look at these lot, I just think they're very ordinary. And I'm not seeing anything that makes me think, oh, this guy's incredible. And like I said, maybe it's too early because they're only 18, but we'll see in the next 3 years. So, but I think also it's partly because when I was growing up watching Spurs under Martin Jol, we had so many youngsters come in. Because to be fair to Jol, he gave a lot of young players a chance. Like in talking about like Reto Zila, Callum Davenport, there's a load of names. And they would come in, everyone would sit there and say, oh, they're the next big, I don't know what name. They'd come in, they'd do all right, but you wouldn't really see anything special out of them. So whenever we see young players sign or young players get given a game, I'm not as excited anymore because I just don't think there's any reason to hype up these players so much. It's just...
I think the difference as well is...
Let it play out and see how it goes. Rather than... Yeah.
But also, when you put, say, what Bergvall's done so far since joining the club in the short appearances he's had, and you compare that to just that 15-20 minute spell that Mikey Moore had against AZ in the Europa League, that was 15-20 minutes that made you go, oh my God, like, look at what this kid is doing. If this kid is going to keep doing this every week, we have got a real talent on our hands. And it was exciting. It was like, oh my God, look at what this kid is doing. So far with Bergvall, it's a bit like, yeah, We've seen these type of players come through. We've hyped them up. You know, Skip was going to be the next best thing, next England captain. Winks was going to be the next best midfielder we'd had. You know, and the list could go on, couldn't it? Tom Carroll and players like that coming through, Ryan Mason. And you just go, I've yet to see anything from Bergvall that makes me go, is he going to be any more than what those players were for us? Whereas Mikey Moore, that 20 minutes alone makes me go, wow, this kid could be amazing. And I don't know if you ever remember, it was when Edwards got his performance in the League Cup. He came on and all of a sudden he's taking players on and 3-4 men and having a shot. And you think, oh my God, wow. Like what? And now obviously he didn't turn out to be that talent.
We had Townsend like that as well, who at the beginning we were excited about. And then
I know it's different positions. They were wingers. He's a midfielder.
2-3 years later, he became like a Premier League footballer, say, but he wasn't exactly, top echelons of Premier League football, really. So that's what I mean. You kind of just let it play out. It's just a lot of our fan base, it's like they cling on to like very small things for a very long time, or try and make something very small that happens something very big, because we're so starved.
I guess the hard thing for Bergvall and Gray is that they were the shining lights of the transfer window, weren't they? It's just a bit like, well, hang on a minute, we're almost pinning our hopes on these lads to come in, and it's unfair on 18-year-olds to put that much pressure on them to expect to come into elite level football in the Premier League and suddenly take it by the scruff of the neck and run.
Yeah.
So what we're really saying with Bergvall, everyone's really got, not everyone, but certain people need to rein it in with him. Yeah, give him a chance.
I think it's the same for most of our youngsters anyway. It's not just him, by the way. That's what I think anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. Nigel, anything about Bergvall, or should we move on to the next player?
No, he's got lovely hair. That's it.
He's got elite level hair game, isn't he, Nigel? Yeah, you can't knock him for that.
Needs a bit of gel in it, but
the ladies, to put it this way, the ladies will love him. When he comes on, my wife is like, oh, he looks like a nice young lad. Then he's like, yeah, steady.
Fair enough. That's funny. Okay, the next player, the final player we're going to talk about before we move on from the Southampton match is this player here, Dominic Solanke. What do people think of his performance on Sunday?
Non-existent.
Concerning.
He did very little for me.
I think with Solanke, it's ironic. I actually think the system doesn't suit him. Even though we got told all summer that the system suits Solanke, I don't think it's the opposite for me, because we don't play balls high into the box with him. He's labelled as a target man. I'm just using people's words. We don't resupply him. We turn to another job with just the pressing, and then the other midfielders or attackers don't press with him. So it's not like an organised press, at least in my opinion, from what I've seen with us. It's more of just people running at players and hoping for the best. And Solanke's work rate is good. I'm not disagreeing with that, but we, like the other week when we scored the goal against Chelsea, was one of the few crosses I've seen all season to Solanke, and we're almost halfway through the season. And at the same time, I don't think he's the best striker. I think he's like not Darren Bent, but like 10 to 15 goals a season striker. I don't think he's ever going to hit the numbers that Kane did, or even Berbatov, or even other top class strikers. I think he's that echelon below. But we don't play to his strengths. At the same time, we ask him to do a job where by the time he gets a chance, he's probably knackered. So, I don't think he's that good, but at the same time, I don't think we play to his strengths either.
I just think the way we're set up is almost like for the wingers to score. So for Sonny, Johnson, exactly. Kulu, whoever's playing out that wide, inside wing is going to score all the goals. Where Solanke, like you say, just the amount of crosses that just don't come in, or if they do, they're low. Half the time he's working outside the box, and by the time the ball comes in, he's still outside the box.
I sort of said to a few people after that first game at Leicester, I was worried by the chances he was missing, because now don't get me wrong, we have to we have to kind of earmark Solanke as being the guy that's had to come in after Harry Kane, and it's a bit like the guy that comes in after Ferguson. You know, you're never going to be as good as this guy, and you know, you've got this poison chalice of a role to try and come in and fulfill, because Kane was the best, not just for his goal scoring and how clinical he was, but for his other parts of his game, like his passing. So Solanke was on a hide into nothing on that front. But when he was missing the chances he missed in the Leicester game, and then that continued, and his early part, he was scoring some tap-ins, but any time he had to have what I consider time on the ball and needed to be clinical with a finish, he was missing those opportunities. And it just made me think, oh, I'm not sure you're going to be the man that's going to fulfill this role.
Like Darren Bent a bit. I don't know. I got that vibe off him after the first game.
Yeah.
I was like, he's not going to be awful, but he's not going to be that great either. He might get like an average 10 to 15 goals, and that's about it. You know, I don't think he's awful, but I don't think he's ever going to be. Yeah.
Like I say, he's not awful. Yeah. And the trouble is, a lot of people have kind of jumped on this. Yeah, but he works hard. And you sort of go, yeah, I know he works hard. But when in football, as someone working hard become almost like a quality or a skill, you know, you sit there and sort of go, well, listen, working hard as a Premier League footballer is the bare minimum I expect from all my players in the team. You know, I want them all to run their hearts out. I also want to know that when this guy's got an opportunity, like in the Roma game, where he hits the bar from that header 3 yards out, if he buries that, we win that game, and we've probably qualified in the top 8 of the Europa League. But he
didn't. That's like the Darren Bent moment, I guess. You know, when he from like
he'll get you 15 goals, but he won't get you that 20-25 that pushes you from say 6th or 5th into 4th.
Yeah, exactly.
Position.
That's a good way to put it. Like I've seen better strikers like Defoe, Keane, Berbatov. Even Pavlyuchenko, I think, is a bit better than him. I know that's a stretch, but I just don't think he's that great. He's all right. He's just, but then, like I said, in his defense, we ask him to a job where no one else is helping him at. It seems like to me, at least, that's just my take. Plus, it literally drains him of his energy. So by the time he gets to the box, he's probably knackered.
For me, he's a little bit too nice as well. I want him to be a little bit nastier. He seems to always be like smiling and talking to the centre half and getting on with people. I want him to be kicking people in the air a bit and giving it some.
But I think for me, I think the club went around replacing Kane the wrong way. I think we should have, like we did last season, kept Son in the middle, and then it might have given the club a bit more time to find like a more longer term replacement rather than. It seemed, I don't know. I know he wasn't labelled as a panic buy, but Solanke to me seems a little bit like, you know, he was the best striker we could find on the market, let's say, in our price range, and we went and bought him.
Just look at his heat map. It's just nothing, is it? It's a nothing heat map. No, it's no red anywhere. He's just all over the place. Not really getting in the game. You know, I think the thing is we're not really playing to his strengths. I think that's a problem. He's struggling to fit into Ange's system. Yeah, there's questions. He's an average striker. I get that. He's only had one good season in the Premier League. We'll see. I think we can judge more by the end of the season and see what sort of output he gives us by the end. What's he on now? 5 Premier League goals, something like that?
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? He could go on a run where he gets 3 or 4 in the next sort of 10 games, and all of a sudden his output is looking a lot better than it is now, you know. But you know who he really reminds me of is, I don't know if you all remember Chris Armstrong when he came to us from Crystal Palace. Yeah, is that when he doesn't have to think about chances, he scores. When he has to think about chances, all of a sudden you get that feeling that there's an element of doubt that kicks in, and I've got to think about this and split longer than I need to, you know. And I think that's how his season will go. But yeah, I'm not convinced that he'll score the goals that we need from. And like we have to remember as well, this is a £65 million striker. This is not a £25 million striker that you can sit there and go, well, if he scores 15 goals, that's probably not a bad return. 65 million, I want more than 10 or so goals come the end of the season.
I have a different take on like this price tag. I think it was sort of fair. I know people were saying it wasn't, but I don't think he's that much better than Richarlison. Obviously, we signed Richarlison for 50, 60 million, so price range it wasn't that much different. Also, he's English, so there's that tax, homegrown English tax. Plus, I just don't think 65 million gets you a top player nowadays. I think you need to pay like 80, 90 million if you want a top striker. I don't think 65 million gets you a top striker.
Didn't Liverpool have like a 20% like buy on clause or sell on clause? So they got a big chunk of the money as well, I think. So that probably boosted the price up a little bit.
Yeah.
But for me, like I said, Solanke would get 20 goals when we signed him. So I could look silly at the end of the season. But I think if he gets the service, he'll score. But I just don't think he gets the service.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's that argument as well. I'm in your camp with that as well. I just don't think even if he got another, say, 5 chances a game, I don't think he scores like 4 of them. I think he might score like 1 more if we're lucky. I'm in Carl's camp in the sense that I just don't think he's that prolific enough. I think like 10 to 15 goals is about right. I just feel sorry for him because of the amount of running he does in the system that clearly doesn't suit him, even though we were told it by other YouTubers that it does, which I didn't believe anyway. But and then he just doesn't. We don't even give him the service that he's supposed to get to score more goals anyway. Like we don't play to his strengths in terms of his height at all. You never see us kicking it long at all, and play off him at least. He's always just told run around like a headless chicken and then try and get a goal when you get like 1 or 2 chances every game. It's like, I just don't,
Yeah, it's a difficult one, isn't it, Solanke? Really, for me, it's not done enough. But look, there's lots of questions around Ange and the whole system anyway. Do you know what I mean? So you could put a lot of blame on Ange and he sets the team up. Okay, guys, let's move away from the Southampton game. We all kind of know it was a lovely game for us to play, especially we've been so out of form. We needed that. Goals. We needed them goals. We needed that performance, and especially in that first half, to kind of give us any little hope going into the next round of fixtures. So let's, Nige, if you could take that off the screen for us. And thank you for everyone in the comments as well. Some really good comments around Solanke, Bergvall, Madison. Yeah, really great stuff. So thank you, guys. Keep them up. Look, I think it's that time again, Nige. I think it's come to that time of the night. Mate? We're going early tonight with it. It's that time.
We're going early. Okay, hang on. Let me find it. This one, you mean?
Yeah, this one.
Oh.
Nice Casio.
Yeah. And watch. This guy. Hey, this guy. So, look. We can't really criticise his managerial performance in that Southampton game. You know, we got the job done. The players got the job done. But still, guys, there's so many questions around this man. Yeah, so many things. I mean, who wants to go first on Ange? Let's go to Haz first on this one.
I'm ready to rip.
I know how you feel about Ange, but look, how are you feeling right at this moment after that match?
Not much different to what I was feeling the week before. Bear in mind that was our second win in 9 games, so it wasn't, like we've gone on a massive run. Like I know Karl spoke about on his channel a few weeks ago about saying it's not like under Poch where we've gone like a run of 10 games, win 6 or 7, draw 2, maybe lose 1. It's like for me, this is just one win, which we might not see for another like month or like 3 weeks for all I know, and it doesn't change anything for me. Most of ex-Spurs managers, even like Sherwood, AVB probably would have beaten Southampton on the weekend, and I tend to compare managers between each other a lot. Like as an ex-Spurs manager, I tend to do that a lot. His football in general is not effective. It doesn't get the best out of players we got. In fact, I think it plays our players' weaknesses. I just think some quality kind of gets through games. And obviously, we spoke about Solanke just now, but like obviously the full backs who are actually signed as wing backs. Dragusin just gets killed in this system, and he's playing almost every week now. And just like even like I know Johnson scored a lot of goals, but if you look at where he played at Forest, he was a second striker, and we're playing him on the wing. And as Karl said, he can't take on a man, but then again, he's not really a winger. So in general, I've not seen any improvement. I just think it's the same old, and I actually quite think we've kind of regressed from last season.
Yeah. I agree, man. Yeah. Carl, what's your thoughts on Ange right now?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not the biggest Ange fan. You know, I do think he's finding that he's out of his depth, and you know, actually the fact that he won't adapt during games at any point and change that philosophy, and almost sees that as a weakness rather than, you know, sitting there and going, there's nothing wrong with playing the way you want to play, but when you're suddenly 2-0 up in a game, there are moments where you can sit there and say, let's just drop for 10 minutes, soak up a bit of pressure, don't give them any kind of hope that they might get themselves back in this game. And then we can go back to an attacking style of play in 10, 15 minutes time, you know, but that's just sit here and soak instead of going, no, just keep going, keep going. And I think that's where he's being found out, and, you know, his tactical naiveness and failure to kind of want to adapt is going to cost him, and ultimately I think it's going to cost him his job. And you know, when you look at the result, as I say, Southampton was the perfect game for him to have, wasn't it? Because I think if we'd had Forest away, say possibly on Sunday, I think he would have found Monday morning he was fighting for his job at that point. And I think he was actually worried about his job. That Romero and Van de Ven selection in that Chelsea game was a manager that was thinking, I'm in big trouble here and I need to try and get a result. So I think the Southampton game buys him a bit of time. How much time, I'm not so sure, because like I say, if we lose the next 3 and play as badly as we have in that, say, Rangers game, the Bournemouth game, then I think the big question marks come back again. And I think that's what Ange's reign is going to be like now till the end. It's like win one well, where we look really good, but then lose the next 2 and we're really poor and we're all sitting here thinking, is this the guy? Then he'll win one again that kind of gets him that little bit more time and people thinking, there's something here that this manager might have. For me, I just don't think there is. I don't think he's going to be the guy that's going to take us forward. And ultimately, yeah, I just think he may get the season. He may just get enough results that get him to the end of the season. But from that point, I don't know. You know, I'm not seeing progress so far. A lot of people are saying they're seeing progress. I'm not seeing progress. When you look at our form this year, I don't see where that's progress from after that first 10 games last season. You know, you're sitting there saying, when you're seeing a year of football like we've seen, up and down, that isn't progress to me. And that, I think, will ultimately be what holds him back.
I think, Carl, also this is just my take personally, there's always a point when you kind of know like it's going to happen, but it's just a matter of time rather than if. So for me, it was after the Ipswich game, I came up thinking he's going to get sacked. It's just a matter of when rather than if. For example, I go back to Pochettino. We drew at home, I think, to Watford 1-1. I think it was when Dele Alli scored. And I remember leaving that game thinking he's going to get sacked. It's just a matter of time rather than when. And I think with Ange, it's kind of like with Ten Hag, where he would win one game out of like 3, just about be there. And eventually his luck will just run out. Yeah.
I think as well, the fact that he's still in the cup competitions also helps him. If we go out of the cup on Thursday to Man United, then that's one opportunity of a trophy crossed off. You know, the Europa League form, does anyone really see in us winning that with the way that we play in that competition? I don't think we can go to somewhere like Lazio and beat them over 2 legs or something like that. So I think while he's in the cups at the moment, and maybe because the league's been so up and down with each team having inconsistent seasons, you're sitting there going, well, he is only 5-6 points away from 5th or 4th. If teams sort themselves out form-wise and we were sitting in 10th, 10 points away from top 4, you'd be sitting here saying this manager's done. But there's probably still enough that are making the board say, the season could go either way here. You know, it still could be a successful season.
But then for them, it's more to do with the league rather than the cups. I don't think the United game really defines this season already, because they'll just say, it means he plays less games and the players will be less tired, let's say, because we'll have less games added on. And so maybe they'll see it as a positive. I know it sounds weird, but
there's so many issues, isn't there? So many issues with this manager. the refusal to adapt. I mean, I was trying to recall what he was saying the other day. It really, really got to me. It did. This stubbornness, and he's really giving it back, isn't he, to the fans as well, because he knows what everyone's saying. Yeah, he hears it all, and he's basically saying, "This is it. This is the way I'm going. Nothing's going to change. I'm going to stick to this system. I don't really care." You know, he's so stubborn. You know, we heard the Southampton manager praise him for sticking to his values and his system, blah blah blah. But I mean, it can't. We're in awful form. Even winning that game against Southampton, we're absolutely in shocking form, and I just can't see us improving anytime soon. You look on top of the injury situation as well. Look, it's a mess. I mean, if it was me, I would let him go. But as Carl said and has said, you know, we're still in the cups. The league is a little bit all over the place. There's not many consistent teams, so he's kind of surviving in that way. But surely it can't go on for much longer. Look, Nige, your thoughts on Ange? I know you're still Ange out, but what are you thinking, man?
Yeah. I mean, I want Ange gone. To be fair, it's
Painful.
it's
Isn't it?
frustrating, really. We our form isn't great in the league. I don't think the cups are going to change much, to be honest. I mean, it didn't stop Spurs sacking Mourinho. And our form is so up and down. We are rougher than the Irish Shear, aren't we? But it depends what we want, doesn't it? It depends what we want as a club. If fans are happy with us going out, winning 1 week 5-0, losing next week 4-3, then great. But for me, playing this style of football isn't going to take us any further. We're not going to win things playing this style of football. You know, it is like Aussie Idealies.
It is, look what Rich says here. Ange actually makes me embarrassed to support Spurs. It is embarrassing the way we just give away so many goals. Anybody can beat us, but then again, sometimes we can turn up and put a fantastic performance together. And it's the inconsistencies and the unpredictability that it just drives you up the wall, doesn't it? We can't gain any momentum. We can't get any consistency under this man. And I don't think that's going to change. I really don't. And the way we're performing in the Europa League lately as well, that dread awful performance against Rangers, terrible tactics against Galatasaray. We are, and do you see how Chelsea just outclassed us the other week? It is embarrassing.
I think, Dan, the thing that worried me a lot,
embarrassing.
A lot of that about the Chelsea game was actually not the scoreline in the sense. It was more the fact that Maresca's been there for 3 months. And I thought their pressing was 10 times better than ours. And Ange's been there for 18 months. And he's had 400 million to pick his own players. Yeah. And it's like their pressing was so much better than ours. It was incredible to watch. And like I said, Enzo's only been there for 3 months. He's came from the Championship as well. So I think it speaks volumes about Ange that he can't get them pressing the same level. And he's been there for longer.
Look, and for me, if Ange had adapted and he tried it and it didn't work, then maybe then you can more look at the squad and the quality that we have, especially with these injuries. But because he's not doing that, I'm not having it. I'm really not. And Nige, sorry, I know you've said your bit, but I look, it's really hard, isn't it, at the moment supporting Spurs. You know, you've got to try and be positive in some way. That there's a massive game, and we're going to review it. We're going to preview it shortly against Manchester United, a crucial match for me. I'm going to hold back on that bit now. But does anybody want to say anything more about Ange at the moment? Because I'm not seeing. I know there's people who are still behind him. I get that. They're fed up of changing managers time and time again. They're pointing towards the board as the issue, and it's true. The board, that transfer window was rubbish. It didn't support Ange. It didn't support this team. There's so many issues, but when I look at how Ange manages this team week to week, that he just refuses to change up. It drives me up the wall.
I think he knows he's under pressure because I've looked at his his body language and his man on the touchline, and he looks like a very worried man, if I'm being honest.
Well, I think as well, has to back that up. I think that outburst at Werner was a manager that's kind of, on the edge slightly, and And for me, I thought that was weak management from him because
especially the week before he said he'd never criticise a player.
Came out saying he's not going to criticise players. And also, what was weak about it was it's very easy to pick on a player when you know the fan base isn't behind that player.
Mm.
Where was he with that energy calling out Son for some of his performance?
Johnson. Yeah.
Where's that energy for Johnson, who was probably just as bad in that Rangers game as what Timo Werner was? And Johnson's a Welsh international who's played plenty of Premier League football at his age now. So I just felt it was weak that he picked on a player that he knew he could do it to and knew he could get away with it from. And he wouldn't have done that to someone like Son or Maddison. And that, again, to me, shows a weak manager who is feeling the pressure of the job he's in.
Oh, dear. Yeah. Nige, any more thoughts on Ange?
No, it's frustrating just because obviously as a fan, you want to win every game, but didn't say it, but I'm getting to that point where it's almost like win-win. If we win, fantastic. If we lose, it might be another day closer to Ange leaving.
He's really struggling, isn't he, to kind of improve our mentality. You know, he was talking about it the other day, wasn't it? What was he saying? He goes, you know, I've got to try and change it. What's the point otherwise? What's the point of being here? Do you remember, guys, what he was saying? Yeah, he's like, you know, I've got to do this and, you know, what's the point? It's all very, I don't really like what he says, to be honest. Nonsense, to be honest. It is the nonsense. It's a load of waffle, isn't it, really? And we have digressed, haven't we? We really have. We've really digressed. Look, I'm going to bring in Anthony now. Let's get him in. Anthony, good evening to you. How are you, man?
Good evening, guys. Hope you're well. I'm good, thank you.
Yeah, mate.
Pleasure.
Hey, right.
Yeah.
So Anthony's a Man United YouTuber. He's come on the stream today. He's going to help us preview the Man United game. Really interested to hear from him. But before we get onto that Man United game, what's your thoughts on our manager, Anthony?
I've heard all you guys opinions, and to be honest, I think I'm 50-50. I think I agree with the comments where they're talking about the criticism of Werner and his mannerisms and body language on the touchline. He looks like a manager that's he knows he's on his last legs. But I think for me at the other end, I'm thinking the recruitment hasn't been good enough. I think someone said that before as well. I agree with that. I don't think Spurs have. I don't think the board have backed him enough with the quality he needs. If I'm being honest, don't get me wrong. Archie Gray and Lucas Bergvall were brilliant signings. They're two players that I've looked at in the past and thought, these are top young players. But again, Tottenham need to be signing players that, not only they can build with, but also take them to the next level, and that means consistent performances, consistency in fighting for the Champions League. Right now, the table doesn't reflect that, and I think it's a reflection on Tottenham's poor recruitment. And I think I don't even think Spurs. I don't even think Postecoglou knows his best XI, which is for me a bit concerning. But again, what can we put that down to? Is it the recruitment, or is it himself? But yeah, I'm 50-50 when it comes to Postecoglou. I like him, but I can see the discourse around him.
Would you have him at Man United? That would tell us a lot. What you think?
Good question. Not right now, no. I'm all in for Amorim.
Cool. We'll get into that. We will be getting into your new manager shortly. Thanks, man. And look, everybody, please go and subscribe to Anthony. It's just started off on YouTube. You're a bit of a scout, man, aren't you? Do you want to tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So I'm not a professional scout, but my brand is Anthony Scouts because I like to look at young talent. I like to analyze young talent in Europe. Probably players that people don't know about. I like to shine a light on them. I've got my own website, which is Anthony Scouts as well, where I pick out young talents in Europe, and bring them to the forefront, celebrate them, appreciate them, and yeah, that's what I do. And also, my podcast touches on that, and also the Premier League in general. So it's not just United, but yeah, Premier League. I love the Premier League. I love talking about every team on there. So I can call myself a bit of an expert. But yeah.
Cheers, man. That's good, man. Interesting. Well, you know, I wish you all the best on your journey, man. It's not easy when you start off on YouTube. But man, just consistency is key. Keep going. Don't give up. And the most important thing, man, is to enjoy it. You know, make sure you enjoy yourself. And yeah, good luck to you, man. Let's read out, before we move on to that Man United game, let's read out some comments in the chat around Ange, just to pick up on some of them. So let's start off with Lord Rodney Trotter. He says the Lands pick and buy the players under the parameter set by Levy. Unless Ange absolutely hated a player for whatever reason, that will be about the only say he has. Anybody want to comment on that from Lord Rodney Trotter?
I probably agree to an extent. I think, you know, he's come out and said they have meetings about players, and he probably gets a list of 3 or 4. And I don't know. I obviously don't think they're all Ange's signings, but you know, he's got to have some sort of say.
I said earlier on my show today with another Dan, I said the problem is Spurs, I think, have always operated in the same sort of transfer policy, which is we're not buying ready-made players. We're buying young players with high potential ceilings, with the view that what will happen is we buy them at a reasonable price to begin with. They develop into the player we think they may be, and then aim to sell high. And what will happen is Spurs will benefit for that for maybe 2 or 3 years while that player's reaching that potential. Like with Bow, we'll have a couple of seasons where we have a player that outshines everything, scores loads of goals, wins us games, and you're thinking, if we can just build around this bloke. But actually the plan is, listen, we're not building around this guy. We're waiting for Real Madrid, Barcelona, Man City, one of those bigger teams to go, right, this guy's ready now. We'll take him off your hands. You'll make £50 million profit. And then you look to buy the next young player with that next high ceiling that can come in and repeat that process. The trouble with that process is you don't keep those young players in a squad of similar players to push you to go and win anything. By the time that one's developed, you sell, move them on, you're waiting for the next lot, and you're back to being that team 5th or 6th, and you're not progressing any further. Spurs are never going to be a club under ENIC that go out and buy 27, 28-year-olds that come in and have an impact in the first team straight away, because there's no sell-on value. So to the club, that doesn't interest them at the moment, because as we know, the main priority isn't winning on the pitch. It's making the brand and the business a successful one. And if some football success happens to come along the way, that will just be a byproduct of what they're doing. And ultimately, you're never going to progress further as a club if you're doing that, because you're not going to get 4 or 5 young players that all suddenly excel to their potential in one team. And yeah, while we're following that sort of, if you like, project, we're probably going to be where we are right now. We might get 4th at some point and get a year in the Champions League, and then we'll miss out the following year. You know, that's how it's going to be if it still runs this way.
I think the problem is for example, the Gray, Bergvall, all these young players we signed, even I won't allude to someone like Mikey Moore. So by the time they, if it was as a caveat, become good, Van der Ven, Romero, maybe some other player, Porro, where all these other players probably would have gone. And then you have another problem in that situation now at the back, where you've lessened the quality, and the quality's gone up and then it's a revolving, we go in a similar cycle every time. So we get to a certain point, we have like a team, an 11 or whatever, so players, and then we just don't really get the last 3 or 4 to make the last step. And then by over time, those players end up leaving who get fed up of waiting, and then repeat the cycle.
Rinse and repeat, isn't it? Year in, year out with Spurs under Levy and co. Let's read up a few more comments before we move to the Man United Spurs preview. Big up, Alex. How you doing? He's saying about we should have signed Mbeumo and Weezer from Brentford. Toxic Headshot says Ange knows he's on borrowed time. I feel the board have told him. Simply Ace, he's saying Ange out. He has to be sacked. Big up, Clement. Hope you're good. And any more? Archer, big up Archer. Spurs to dare is to do. Levy to dare is to dear. Clever, I like that. That's good. Simply Ace, it's all about copy and paste with Ange. Yeah, it's so predictable to play against, aren't we? And Kate, big up Kate. I just don't think the players he wanted are much quality. Yeah, the transfer window was shocking. Kate says clueless. Rodney agrees. Now, okay, guys. Now let's look into. Let's go ahead and look at the Man United and Spurs game on Thursday. Massive game, guys. You know, big quarterfinal match Thursday night under the lights. Whoa, where do we start with this? Let's. Nige, could you quickly bring up that PowerPoint thing again? Because there's a couple of things I want to read from it around injuries and form. Yeah, let me get this up, and that's where we'll start with it going into this game. Have a look. Let's have a look at the form guide there. Can you all see that clearly?
Yeah.
So if we look at Man United, they're 4th in the form table. I know this focuses on the Premier League. It's not in all competitions, but Man United are 6 games, six of the last games, 3 wins, 1 draw, 2 defeats, 12 goals, 7 conceded, 10 points. They're doing a little bit better than us. And if you look at our form there, 2 wins, 1 draw, 3 defeats in the last 6, 14 goals, 8 conceded. So not a lot in it in terms of form-wise. Guys, initial thoughts on that. Anthony, what do you think about your recent form as a Man United fan?
For me, because we've just got a new manager, I haven't been really, what can I say, hell-bent on our form per se. I think I've just been focusing on performance and whether we can, progress with Amorim's system. To be honest, when I saw the 2-0 defeat to Arsenal, we lost the 2 set pieces. I came up quite, okay. I see the plan, I see the vision. We've lost this, but I can see what Amorim's trying to do. And for me, that's most important for me right now at this point in time. Even on Thursday, I'm looking to see whether we can build against City, whether we lose or win. It's for me, it's the performance is what I'm looking at. But from that table, I'm quite impressed, if I'm being honest, considering the difficulties we're under right now.
Fair enough, man. Just want to say hello to Alex. Hello, Alex. How you doing, man? Thanks for jumping on. How are you?
Man. Yeah, big up to everybody. So for the late arrival, I didn't expect it to be that late, but needs must, like they say. I had to bench because I have to bench some of the deluded opinions from Tottenham fans, especially about the Southampton game, honestly. But anyway, enough about that. Dan, you know how it is. Big up to Nige as well. Big up to Carl, big up to Haz, and big up to the Man United fan as well. Big up to you. And back to you.
So Anthony, cheers, Alex. Thanks for joining us. Anthony, so you've been quite impressed with that form. You realise there's a lot of problems at Man United in regards to, they weren't doing great, were they? But they picked it up a little bit now. Great result of the weekend against City. How did you feel when that late goal went in? Were you shocked? Were you surprised? Do you think that was an Amorim tactical, the way he managed that game? It was more to him setting that team up to get that late result?
I was ecstatic. If you see the way I jumped out of my seat, as soon as the ball went in from Ahmed, I was so delighted. I think from the game, even when City went 1-0 up, and from the first half, a lot of people were saying that we weren't good enough. There was no urgency. There was no intentional with our play. To be honest, I wasn't too disheartened. I'm going in at half time. I don't think City gave us any trouble other than the corner they scored. I think I like the defensive solidity. Because over the past few seasons when we played the big teams away, we've been blown away. Once we get a 3-0 in 30 minutes, the spirit just goes downhill. And I like the fact that when we went 1-0 down, that didn't derail us. We kept going. And I agree with the fact that second half was much better. We controlled City perfectly. I must say. I think the way we build up from the back. I think the way we controlled City, especially in the middle. Maguire, keeping Haaland in his back pocket. The likes of De Bruyne wasn't. I can't remember what kind of special thing De Bruyne did in that game. I think we controlled that game in the second half perfectly. And to be honest, if you see the XG from the game, we were considerable. It was considerably more than City, and I'm thinking, wow, okay, this is some sort of progress. I was thoroughly impressed. And then again, Ahmad, crazy player, wonderful player.
Anybody else watch that match?
Yeah.
Want to give their thoughts on that game?
Yeah, I watched it, actually.
You take down the thing for 1 minute, mate. Cheers. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I watched it. And for me, for some reason, I tend to watch a lot of United. I don't know why. But for me, like I was comparing Amorim's body language and compared to Ten Hag and even previous manager Van Gaal, Jose. I don't know. I think Amorim's the guy for United, to be honest. And I only saw 2-3 games so far, but he's kind of unified the team already and the squad already. And I'm quite frightened, to be honest, on Thursday, because I think United have got a bit more resilience than they had before already. And Amorim just seems to coach the players in the game a lot more. I just felt like Ten Hag just stood and just watched it all fall apart. And he seems like he cares a lot, Amorim. That's a big difference compared to previous managers. And I just think he's given them fresh ideas. And obviously, honestly, he's probably one of my favorite players in the league right now, actually, mate. I think he's probably going to end up being like Saka maybe in the future, that sort of level, or maybe better. He's that kind of player. And I just think United, not because of the new manager bounce, I just think they look like they're different than they were before. It's hard to explain it. It's more just because when you guys were on the bench, I looked at the players on the bench, for example, to see what kind of body language they were doing, and the manager, and it seemed like there was just something different, an extra resilience, like you mentioned. They kind of like the fresh ideas of the back 5 or 4, whatever you want to call it. And I think United are going to do something. I mean, and I think he will see this game personally. Amorim will see this game as a springboard to carry on what you did against City, and maybe he want to go and win a trophy. So obviously, because that will endear him to the fans as well. I know it's just Carabao Cup, but it'll get them on side even more. So yeah, I'm quite frightened for Thursday.
I feel a little bit different, actually. I've got to be honest. Can I just... Yeah, United were 5 minutes away from losing 3 in a row. I think, don't get me wrong, I think Amorim's a good manager, but I think it's going to take time. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. I think next season United might be a force. But yeah, I haven't been watching them and thinking, wow, they still look pretty much the same as they did. Obviously, I'm not paying a lot of attention. I'm just watching the games. But yeah, for me, 5 minutes away from losing, and it would have been 3 defeats in a row.
So you're not convinced? Not convinced? That's what?
Not yet. That might change after tomorrow night.
I kind of expected them to lose to Arsenal. The Forest game was a bit of a weird one, but at the same time, I mean, Forest are doing really well this season. And United have still got a lot of problems. I just think, I don't know, momentum is a big thing in football. And I think winning a game in that manner can really help for the next match.
Unless you're Spurs.
Unless you're Spurs.
Alex, did you watch the game, mate? Man City,
I did watch the game. It was a bit of a boring game, I've got to be honest. The thing I see about Amorim at the moment, and what I don't see about my coach, which what I feel about my coach at the moment, well, you know that I want him out. Because I don't think Ange is what Amarin is, a coach. I don't think he's a coach. I think this guy's a coach all day long. I've got to be honest. And I know why I think he's a coach is what he did with Rashford and what is his name, Garnacho. When he said why he dropped them, he says, "Well, my coaching staff looked at them all over the place when they're in the training ground, eating their dinner, doing whatever." And it gave me some vibes of what Pochettino said about some certain players as well. And I'd sit there and think, Andrew would never do that. He wouldn't do that because he's a manager. But this guy, and I see him on the training ground, getting involved with training, getting involved and all that. And I sit there and say, that's a coach.
Yeah,
that's
right.
A coach that's going to try and improve players. Straight up, big time. That's it. That's what I'm looking at. Now, again, I can't go over the top about him because he only had 5 minutes. Like I said last season with Postecoglou, I say the same thing about Liverpool manager. I say the same thing with the Chelsea manager, even though they're impressive. So I mean, you only can tell with a manager whether they're good next following season. For me, it's always long term. For me, it never is short term. Unfortunately, loads of fans love being short term and get too excited. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, for me, I actually see what Nige is saying, to be fair. I do actually see what Nige is saying. Don't get used to it, Nige. Don't get used to it, Nige. You know what I mean? Because I don't agree with a lot of people, so don't get used to it. But big up to you. Yeah, it's yeah, I do see what Nige is saying. They did get a little bit lucky. Man City, I can't really say too much, really. It's looking very scary, but these things happen to the best of us, don't they? Really, but yeah, I've got to be honest with you. I have to agree with Nigel. They did get lucky a little bit, and Ahmad, I think Ahmad's doing okay. He's doing good. We have to see what happens with him. I look at him like another Kulusevski for me, to be honest with you. That's just me. But yeah, back to you, Dan.
Yeah, fascinating stuff. Look, when I look at the stats of that match, and we're not going to spend too long on it because we've got to preview the Spurs and Man U game, but very even, very, very even. Possession-wise, shots, even passing. So Man United really held their own. I know Man City, they're in a bad moment. What's that, 1 win in 11 for Man City? Am I right on that? Yeah. Something like that. So they're really not in a good form at all. But guys, Carl, did you watch the game? What was your kind of assessment of Man U?
I didn't see this game, to be honest. I only caught the highlights. But, for Man United, it's a great scalp, isn't it? Because they still wouldn't have expected this early in Almiron's tenure to go to Man City and pick up the result that they did. So that will give them some confidence. I agree with what Alex said. I think what you've seen from Almiron so far is a guy that knows what he wants, isn't going to mess about with players who are not prepared to toe that party line. A bit like Poch was when he first come in. He took a year to suss out, right, who do I want in this squad? Who don't I want in this squad? And anyone that isn't focused on what we're focused on, they're going. And United need that, because at the moment, that United squad reminds me a lot of the Spurs squad. It's a lot of purple patch players that when they have their little run can go on 3 or 4 games where they look good, but then they suddenly disappear for 5 or 6 games. And it will take him a while to kind of root those players out and bring in more consistent players who will follow what he wants. My biggest worry on Thursday is, as we've seen before with Ange, any manager that has got a brain and thinks, let's watch how this game goes, and then I'll come up with my plan to beat this team. And I think Almiron's one of them managers. He is smart enough to be able to adapt and change, spot where the weaknesses are and take advantage of that. And as we've seen as the season's gone on, we can't cope when a team do that. And I just see the same thing happening on Thursday as it has done in games like Rangers, Galatasaray, Chelsea. When you've got a manager who can work us out and work a way round to beat what we're doing, we're in trouble. And I think it'll be the same Thursday, to be honest. And that win just sends United into this game super confident. They'll be well up for it. and I can't see us being, unfortunately, able to match what their manager does to kind of nullify what we can do, unfortunately.
Basically saying we're going to be outmanaged. Really,
I think so. And I think we've seen it all season long, haven't we? That when a manager comes and plays us with a game plan and can't adapt to kind of go, oh, I see what this guy's doing. He's trying to take advantage of this or that area. And we'll just go, got our way of playing. It's who we are, mate. And that manager's going, it might be who you are, but I know how to beat you in what you are. And I'm going to do it. And we're just going to stand there going, oh, yeah, look, they're taking advantage of our weaknesses. Oh, yeah, what should we do? Don't worry, lads. Just don't pass backwards. That's all I ask. Don't pass backwards.
Wide areas. That's
yeah,
going to help. Wide areas. That's what it's going to be. Because I looked at, for example, Marco Silva at Fulham. He clearly watched the Roma game before he played us because he just used those wingers and tried overloads on the wide areas, which is not that difficult to work out. I'm not even a qualified UEFA, whatever you want to call it, whatever ANGE is. And I can see the obvious weaknesses with Tottenham. It's not that difficult to work out. And I look at Enzo, for example, against us, we're 2-0 up. And normally you think we could be able to see out this game, at least till half time, keep it 2-0. And then next half, maybe come out all guns blazing, get the third, then drop off again. But obviously we didn't do any in-game management. The second half starts, makes one sub, brings on Gusto, pushes Cucurella inverted, so he drops one back, essentially plays like a lopsided 3. And we were in trouble because they just suffocated us. So for me, are you telling me Amram's not going to be able to work out the same? No. Even if he doesn't start the game well, I can see him just doing a couple subs, maybe changing the style or just the way they're playing or this formation, and we'll get cooked. That's the problem. I
think the most important thing at the moment is that Tottenham start very, very fast. Now, if Man United get through that 10-minute, 20-minute, 30-minute period, you're done. We're done. You know what I mean? Like I predicted, ironically, we're going to win this game just on the fact it's home advantage. And I think unfortunately for Man United, I don't know how this is. This is how bang average the Premier League is. We've got a better strike force than bloody Man United's. I mean, you wouldn't be able to tell it when we got Richarlison, that don't even want to say it, below average Emil Heskey, who's always injured. I was told that he's the next thing coming. Yeah, Johnson, the below average Darren Huckabee. Well, below average Sterling. Yeah. Sorry, don't get me started on him. Right, Son, that unfortunately he's gone downhill, but everyone gets so emotional about it. You know what I mean? And don't get me started on that Timo Werner. Yeah, but for some reason, because we play this system, I mean, this shows that anybody can play to be a good player now these days. Yeah, you could have 5 minutes. Yeah, because Timo Werner have 5 minutes and Johnson's have 5 minutes. So that's the only problem I have with Man United at the moment. Their strike force isn't really clinical as much as ours are. Let's be honest here. You know what I mean? So, but other than that, if you keep it tight, and also you're very bad at corners as well, which is a bit of a worry for you. You're gonna have to sort that out quickly. Because that's going to get you quickly. Like you got to be.
We're not good at doing them though, Alex. It's not like we score many corners.
Well,
so it won't worry him on Thursday.
I don't really worry them that much.
Listen. For me, I agree. I should agree with you, Carl. But I know Tottenham. They somehow get it. You know what I mean? I just think at home as well. Somehow they just do it for me. So I just think Man United have to keep it tight the first 30 minutes. Because we'll come out the blocks. We will come out the blocks. And that's the most important thing. If you let us out the blocks, you're playing at the back. I'll be honest with you. One of the positive things about our team is that we do press very well. I will give them that. Yeah? And you don't hear a lot of positives from Mr. Box Office. And that's one of the things I'm going to tell you. I will say they do press very, very well. They should do it. That should be a standard for a player. That should be a standard. But this is why we get injuries. Sorry, but Dan, I had to just interject.
No, it's great. It's great.
I agree with Alex though. I think if United can get to say the half-hour mark at 0-0, they'll just grow into the game more and more as we kind of tire and suddenly realise, they've seen our 10-15 minute burst, and now they're prepared, they've settled, they know what they're doing. And now they can start implementing their game plan. I mean, even in that Chelsea game at 2-0 up, Chelsea didn't change what they were doing because they could see, listen, this mob might have got 2-0 up, but we've seen plenty of opportunities at that end that let us know if we just keep doing what we're doing, we're going to get our moments, we're going to score those goals that get us back in the game, and eventually we'll steamroller past this team. And they didn't panic. And I think, you know, I agree with Alex. If United can see out that first 10, 15 minutes, because we can blitz a team, in 10 minutes, the game can be over. And, you know, we're capable of scoring 3 in 10 minutes. Get past that, get to half hour at 0-0, and I think the game swings in United's favour more and more.
We're a momentum team. We're a momentum team. Sorry, mate. Sorry, Anthony.
No worries. Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think that's my one concern. You know, we saw the game at Old Trafford between us two. You know, where you guys just blew us away. I think we're right now we're a reactive team. You know, we're not on the front foot from the first minute. We try and find out how this team's going to play us, how teams are going to play us, and then we respond to that. I think Amorim's trying to change that, which I know he will. He's going to try and make us proactive. But you know, I think that's my concern with the game. I think if you guys come out of the blocks, I think that's going to test us to the core. I think that's where we struggle. If Tottenham score a goal in the first 10 minutes, how will we respond to that? And you know, again, Amorim said it in his recent press conferences that you know, he's worried himself that he doesn't know which United he's going to get. You know, he's still learning these players. He's still learning how we respond to setbacks. He's still learning how we build from what has already been taught. And I think for me that's my concern as well. What United are we going to get? Are we going to get the one where Tottenham will blow us away 3-0 and the game's over, or are we going to, you know, as we've heard here, you know, are we going to ride it out for 30 minutes, or are we going to be proactive right now? You know, I think that's what I'm questioning as we lead up to the game.
The problem is, right, for me as a Spurs fan is, sorry, I lost Seattle's home, lose at home to Ipswich, lose to Palace, and obviously we blew a 2-0 lead at home to Chelsea. I still think United, even if we went 2-0 up, I still wouldn't be confident because I think any team has a capability of scoring 3 or 4 past us easily because we're just so open. If I saw, say, go 2-0 up in a game and drop off or tell the fullbacks to drop in for like 10, 15 minutes, I'm talking not on a one-off basis, like say 2-3 games in a row, I'd be like, maybe we can manage the game, but I feel like we don't manage the game. So I think even if we go to 1 or 2-0 up, I wouldn't even be confident. United have goals in them. I know the strikers aren't as prolific, like Alex says, but you've got wingers that can hurt us, and our wide areas are our problem. So it's where we leave the most gaps. So yeah.
Anthony, do you have confidence in Man U if we do go 2 goals up? Do you think you can come? Do you think Man United have got enough in them right now to come back from a 2-0 deficit?
Right now, I think we're in the early stages of our development under Amorim. I'm not too sure whether we can. But what I saw on Sunday with City and the way we responded then, that's given me a bit of hope. But again, you know, these players are, you know, they're still under, you know, Ten Hag's spell per se. You know, how are we gonna respond to, you know, if you guys go 1-0 up, 2-0 up? Are we gonna go back in our shells? Are we gonna shirk under the pressure? And again, as I said before, that's what Amorim's trying to unlearn with these players. You know, just because you got 1-0 down doesn't mean the game's over. You know, let's build again. You know, it's still 0-0, guys. Let's go again. And you know, it's all about mentality for me. And what I've been looking for is mentality and the performances. And again, when I watch my team, I want my team to be defensively solid. So if in the 30 minutes you guys batter us and we're still 0-0, and I see a desire and a determination to keep the score at bay, I'll be very happy. For me, I'll be delighted. And yeah, it's just how we can then build from that 30 minutes onward.
It's a hard one to call Thursday, guys, isn't it? Really, really hard one to call. I mean, we're at home advantage, Spurs. So, I mean, my thoughts on it is a must win. We must win. The Cups is the only thing we've got left this season. We're not doing anything in the league because we can't build up any consistency at all. So the Cups is me, and I'm saying that we have to win it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't care how, as long as we win it and get us into that semi-final. Do I think we will win it? Who knows? Who knows? I don't know. Guys,
maybe if we use our Squid Game characters, Dan,
at
half time or something, we might be able to pick United off. You know, if we can play, you know, red colour, green colour with some of the United boys, we might be all right. You know, it might work in our favour, this Squid Game character thing turning up.
I heard that today. That's embarrassing. That's what the club is worried about.
Spurs will turn up. That's the problem. He doesn't know what Spurs will turn up. It's just
no.
It's unpredictable, guys, isn't it? It's really hard to call this match. I can't predict it at all. I think everybody's spoken about it so far. I'm going to go back to Nigel in a minute because I want to hear a little bit more from him. But it's sounding like, you know, we're going to do this 20-minute blitz, and if that works, then we might win. If we don't, and Man United hang in there, and Amorim makes some tactical changes to get back in the game and take control, it could then swing in Man United's favour. It's I don't know, guys. Nigel, what's your thoughts on it? What's your prediction, or what you expect from Spurs? Are you expecting Spurs to win?
No, I have no confidence whatsoever. And we're talking earlier about Spurs being. Would you be confident Spurs were 2-0 up? If Spurs were 3-0 up, I wouldn't be confident. If we were 3-0 up at half time, I'd be like, if we concede in the first 10 minutes of the second half, we're in trouble. It's, you know, I mean, this has happened for like my life as a Spurs fan. I guess it has for everyone. You know, we could be 3-0 up with 88 minutes gone, and it's like, we concede one now. Oh God. So yeah, I got no confidence, but I think we should win. We're at home. I am concerned about our defence. You know, it is makeshift, but I think we have more than enough up front to score goal. I just think there's going to be goals. I could see it being 4-3, 3-2, either way.
Entertaining game. What Ange likes, eh?
I've got to be honest though.
I've got
to be honest though, right? Right. This is where I can't do this fan base, right? This whole thing with these two youngsters, right? I've got to be honest. Bergvall and Archie Gray, right? They play 2 games. 2 games, yeah? Only 2 games, right? And all of a sudden now, Bergvall's the next defensive masterclass. Yeah, Sarr, masterclass. Yeah. Archie Gray, the best defender going. Yeah. Honestly, I've never heard such absolute woof. Spence, oh yeah, Djed Spence. This is the best one. The best one. Djed Spence. Honestly.
I've heard that one.
Honestly. I mean, the thing is, though, it's like, what I don't get is that I see Chelsea fans, yeah, they're second in the league. They're all saying, no, we can't say anything. No, we're not saying anything. Tottenham fans, after Southampton, oh, we're back. Okay, right. What did we learn from Southampton? The only thing we learned is that when Maddison turns up, Tottenham turn up. Mm-hmm. That's it. And what happened after the game? Oh, the manager gets sacked. Oh, so that shows you how good Southampton were, weren't we? You know what I mean? It's like, honestly, one game against the bottom team, and we're now saying we're back. Not even Man City, I understand. And I was like, yeah, okay, but let's see the next result. We lost.
It's like people don't learn, Alex.
And we just don't learn. And I'm like, listen, I'm not changing people's opinion. That's fine. Yeah. That's cool. That's why I say, debate me, but they don't turn up. So let's not go there. You know what I mean? Let's not go there. You know what I mean? But it's like, I just don't get it. It's like, and it's just the status quo. It's like, and I was just thinking, no, you can't do videos right now. You cannot. Really, because if Chelsea are not getting excited, and let's be honest here, I'd be more excited with Cole Palmer in my team. I was more, listen, I absolutely agree with people because I was there, and I knew after 2-0, they're going to get back in this game. I could state straight away. You know what I mean? So, but it's just like we're the only fan base that go over the top because we are so desperate, and it's just
You're
don't
spot
get
on
it.
at it, mate. You're spot on, mate. Honestly,
And it's not like I say, I've seen this how many times, but the Southampton game was embarrassing, the fan base reaction, because it was like, come on, it's only one game. Honestly, I've got to be honest, the excuses for this manager is embarrassing. Yeah. And it's now I'm hearing Daniel Levy every single time. And I'm not, listen, I know Daniel Levy's the problem, but this guy shouldn't be looked at. I'm sorry, he has been backed. And now what I'm seeing now saying they're backing him now, they're sticking with him. I'm even more saying now this is on you now, Ange and Lange. You know what I mean? Sorry, Mr. Box Office just had to unleash on that. Sorry, I did keep it PG for you, Dan.
No, you had to. We've been there already in the show tonight at the beginning. We went exactly what you've been saying, man. Alex, do you find the fan base more annoying than the actual team?
Yes, I've got to be honest.
I agree with him with that.
Listen, it's not that. There's certain people out there I don't agree with. Yeah. Right, certain people out there I don't agree with. By the way, I've been watching you, bruv. You're doing really well, by the way. I love your takes, by the way. I love your videos, by the way. I had to say that. I had to put that out there, by the way. I've told you, and I've told Saba this as well, by the way, all day long. You know what I mean? And big up to Carl, because I did like that video you did about somebody that you need to be put in his place. I've got to be honest. But I kept it. I know what you're talking about. You know what I mean? But I kept the name out. You know, kept the third wheel out the there. You know what I mean? But the point is, right? Listen. I don't mind it. I don't mind people disagreeing with me. Yeah, I love it. I love a challenge. But what I don't like is when people come out and say, "Oh, you're negative," or say, "Here's a link. Come debate me then." Do they turn up? You see what I'm saying? No. And it's like there's people out there that I don't agree with, and I have great football debates with. You know what I mean? And actually, they're very good people. Two people I will mention because I love mentioning their people because I love talking to them. Kuva and Asmatic. Right? Don't agree with them, but they're the best people. I will talk to them every single day. Yeah? Every single day. You know what I mean? So it's like, for me, I like a challenge. I don't like echo chambers. I can't do echo chambers. Sorry, I'm just not that type of guy. I just can't do it. You know what I mean? So I need that sort of thing because there will be a time, like Nigel's just done, give me a point. I'm sitting there thinking, you know what? That's a good point, you know? You know what I mean? Another one that I think I'd never really agree with that comes on top and away, Ian. Didn't agree with him.
Yeah, Ian, yeah.
But to be honest with you, now, absolutely love the guy. Because he comes on, says his piece, and to be honest with you, I'm like, you know what? Give it to you. Ellie didn't agree with her about Højbjerg. I had to apologise to her after this season.
For Højbjerg now.
And it's funny that I said this, and now everyone started saying the same thing I said. A lot of Spurs fans that you would take seriously, by the way. Yeah, people laughed at me, but a lot of Spurs fans that you take seriously now, you wouldn't laugh in their faces right now. You know what I mean? You know? But this is the thing. It's like I say, I'm sorry, Anthony, but when you mention XG, I can't do XG. I don't do XG because I didn't do that in back in the 90s. Like Sedan didn't need XG. You know, Ginola didn't need XG. Yeah. You know, the top players, Sheringham didn't need XG. He had a bit of arrogance in there, and he wasn't a likable guy, but yet he didn't need XG. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? I just think this whole thing now, XG stats and all this, it's like all you need to do is see it for yourself. You know what I mean? So, this is what I don't get. You know what I mean? That's my feelings. You know what I mean? And HazSpur's testament to me because he supports me a lot. You know what I mean? Big up to him every single time. You know what I mean? Big up to you, Dan, as well, for inviting me. Like I said, every single time. You know what I mean? But that's my thoughts. Yeah. Hopefully, it wasn't that much waffle. Sorry about that. I do like waffles.
But, it's what we said earlier, though, isn't it, Dan? Which is Spurs fans seem to be a very rare breed of fan that they can see an average performance that, say, Bergvall put in last night. And suddenly he's the next coming of Luka Modric, where you actually go, whoa, hang on a minute. he had an okay game. There was a lot of sideways passing, which I'd expect an under 15 player to be able to do. He still gave the ball and lost the ball cheaply in certain situations, in dangerous positions, which against a decent team you'd be punished for. But we have a fan base that are so reactionary, and they're trying to look for any glimmer of hope to hang on to. Like, oh yes, please, Bergvall has to be the saviour of Tottenham Hotspur. So when he has an okay game, and we are talking, he had an okay game. It's the sort of game I've seen Winks have many a time, the sort of game I've seen Oliver Skip have on many occasions in the Spurs shirt. And look where they are now. So let's not get too excited. Let's hold off. And when we can see this guy doing it against bigger sides, Liverpool, United's, Arsenal's, and getting the game by the scruff of the neck and running it, then I'll start to believe may have a player on their hand here. But like I say, some are taking this sort of performance and blowing it up like, oh my God, what are we seeing? And I don't know whether it's other fan bases, because we don't get to see as much of their content as we do our own. But we do seem to have that fan base and certain channels that want to just cling on to that hope and blow up and hype up something that you go, it's average. You know, it's just average.
Look, there's so many people who have said Spurs are back. I mean, it's embarrassing. Embarrassing. They need to look at themselves. We're back after beating Southampton. Come on.
I was in the minority here. I was in the minority. Even when we beat City, I wasn't like that enthusiastic, because the problem is that we had that win-loss thing. So I was like, why do I have any inclination to think the next game we're going to do break the cycle? Because unfortunately, until we break this cycle, I'm not going to have any confidence in this manager, any confidence in the players, any confidence in the club. Hey, of course, I watch the games. We win or we'll lose, whatever. But I'm kind of just made peace with whatever outcome. I know it sounds really sad, but I'll go to the game or whatever. And it's like, well, we win or lose, whatever. But I just have no faith in the manager. I've not seen anything to make me think this guy can do something special that everyone keeps telling me. Oh, he's such a special manager, blah, blah, blah. But
I just talk about
what
being
do people see? Am I missing something? Like, I just don't see anything.
Listen, you're so spot on, Haz. But the thing is, though, right? I do things organically, right? And like I said, right, I didn't like Martin Yole when he came in. I thought he's okay, but he got himself over with me. Yeah, maybe I should say that a different way, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Won me over. You know what I mean? Pochettino was the worst one for me, because, like, for me, I wanted Frank de Boer. Like I said on Mr. Box Office TV, I wanted Frank de Boer. I was very disappointed when Frank de Boer wasn't at Tottenham Hotspur. I was so wrong about it, and it took me a year and a half to see, you know what, this guy's got something about him. And it was a year and a half, and we were going through this big run, and it was just something different. You know what I mean? Harry Redknapp was easy. Harry Redknapp was
I like
easy.
Redknapp before as well.
You know what I mean? But you saw progress, and the fact that you saw so many young players coming through, and it was the same with Martin Yole, and you saw something different. The way that players were developing, you know what I mean? The way that he brought Dyer into the team, put him in the defensive role, the way he made Dembele, the way he developed Kane, you know what I mean? You know, and these things weren't just out of luck. It was because of the quality of the coaching. Some of the coaching that I'm seeing from Eddie Howe at the moment, Areola, you know what I mean? That's the sort of thing I'm seeing at the moment, and this is what I stuck to. And it's not because I'm just saying it to be sensation. No, it's not. It's because I see the record of Tottenham, and with managers, if the difference with Harry Redknapp with this manager, Ange, Harry Redknapp had coaches that had good coaches, actual coaches that actually want to improve the team. Improve the team. You know what I mean? He brought in Sherwood.
Alex? What does
Ryan Mason?
That's the point. That's the point. These coaches are a bunch of apprentices, and Mason, right? And this other guy that he's got from Sheffield, used to be at Sheffield United. Nigel.
Did he bring his mate as well? The Australian guy, Jedinak, isn't he one?
Yeah, Jedinak as well. So for me, there's no coaches there to actually say, you know what, you need to do this individually, improving players. Because, like I say, I mean it what I say. No one's improved. No one's improved in the team.
Alex, you were talking about
Individuals,
Martin.
no one's improved.
So obviously, we like Ange. None of us really knew Martin Yol. I'm going to be honest with you. He wasn't a name I knew back then. Like, it was more like Jose and Ferguson, these big names. Now, the difference with Martin Yol and Ange is Martin Yol's second season, and bear in mind, he came in halfway through the season in the first season. I think in the first 10 games, we only lost like one game, I think, or something. Like, went on some crazy run. And we almost finished, obviously, fourth, bar lasagna, in Yol's first full season / second season, when you will call it. Obviously, under Poch, we finished in the top 4 in the second season. Under Redknapp, bear in mind, again, he came from halfway through the season before. We finished 4th in his second season. But we were going on big runs where we were consistently winning, say, 5 or 6, and then drawing 2 or 3, like Karlos, and maybe losing 1. So you saw something where you're like, we have a solid team here. We'll win most games. We'll get points away from home if we can't win the game. And maybe we'll lose like a top side or something, like a Liverpool or something, or a United back then. But under Ange, all I'm seeing is it's just chaos. But then it kind of reflects on what he says. He goes, we don't want to control the game. He even said that, I think, didn't he, or something?
But guys, I'll put the question to everybody again. What does Ange offer as a manager? He has a style of play, but what else is behind that? Can anyone say?
I think the trouble was with Ange, wasn't he? He had nothing to lose when he came in, because you only had to set the team up in a slightly attacking sort of formation, and the fans were baying for it after Jose and Conte, weren't they? So you only had to be reasonably attacking, and the fans were going to be like, oh my God, we've got our Tottenham back. And when he first came in, he was kind of, there was a novelty to that. Yeah, that's who we are, mate. And that's what we're going to do, mate. Yes, it's how it is, mate. And it all seemed a little bit like, I kind of quite like this guy. He's kind of open and honest, and that sort of Aussie sort of, don't give a fuck, mate. It's what we are. We're going to go at them. And you sort of thought, but it's worn off very, very quickly, because you're seeing fum, and you're like, whoa, I wanted an attacking team. I didn't want it to be this bad at the other end as well, though, mate. I wanted to see some sort of progress, a steady sort of upward curve.
Scott experience sums up this is how I feel. Either side football, you score 10 and we'll score 12 is exactly how I feel about when I watch us. It's like I play Wednesday, I play 5-a-side a lot. It's like I'm watching that game. Literally, again, when watching Spurs. Because you score 1 goal, next goal, they score the other end. Next goal is literally what 5-a-side's like. And it's exactly how Tottenham play. The guy's just spot on.
The only thing I've ever seen Ange do on the sideline, which is tactical, in his whole time at the club, is tell players off for passing it backwards. It's like, that's his whole tactical system. Stop fucking passing it backwards. Well, give me something else, please. Like, what do you want me to do? Like, I need a little bit more info than that, please.
Guys, there's a question for Anthony. Anthony, did you see that question?
Do I see Spurs as a serious club?
Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna be honest and say what I've been saying for the past few weeks. I don't think they are, and I think that's down to Levy. If I'm being honest, I think he's another Ed Woodward. If I'm being honest, I don't think he knows football. I don't think he's a football guy per se, and that's why you brought in the Jonathan Lange and all them guys behind the scenes. But I think again, I don't see that system being a success because again, the guy at the top is not a football guy, and yeah, like I said before, when I first spoke, the recruitment over the summer was a joke. I think. If Tottenham want to be considered amongst the top 4 fighting for those positions, it needed to be doing better in the transfer window, and that's why for me I'm not too critical of Ange as we've heard here, because he hasn't been as backed as I'm not a Tottenham fan, but I expected better in the recruitment, if I'm being honest. But yeah, I don't see Spurs as a serious club right now.
But
Yeah.
Anthony, at the same time, then, do you think if we had a different manager, we should, or no, taking that away for a second, hold on. The players we currently have, I know the window was crap. I agree with you. Like everyone on here probably would. But do you think we should be sitting in mid-table? Do you think we should be in the top 6 at least? I'm not saying top 4, but like top 6, 7. Do you think we should be there instead, or do you think we should be mid-table where we are?
And
based on
based on what I've seen in Postecoglou's tactics, you know,
no, I mean just the
low.
players. Take away the manager for a second. Just the players we've got. Do you think we should be top 6, or do you think we should mid-table where we are?
Oof. I think you should. I think you should. Yeah, I think you should be fighting. You know, in and around those positions. Yeah,
top 6.
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to know what you thought. Yeah.
You can do better with these players. This is the thing at the moment. I'm not saying. Listen, I think listen, it's a good squad, but the thing is though, like I say, the difference is at the moment is that he doesn't really adapt. That's the thing, and he hasn't got the best out of these players. I think defensively we're not very good, and the thing that annoys me at the moment is we keep on saying about injuries. I'm sorry, that's an excuse. When I heard a lot of people at the start of the season saying, "Oh, we've got a good squad. Don't worry about that. Højbjerg's gone out the door. Lo Celso's gone out the door. You know what I mean? Perisic's got out the door, who I would take all day long, other than bloody Timo Werner, all day long. You know what I mean? I don't care whether he wanted to leave, but he's got Champions League experience, winning Champions League experience, not just once, for how many times, multiple times. And the youngsters would have learned more off him than Timo Werner in 5 minutes. I'll tell you that for a fact. You know what I mean? You should have did back to RB Leipzig all day long. You know what I mean? But the point is that he has not improved anybody and defensively, for me, I look at Van der Ven. He is ruining him. He's absolutely ruining him because that hamstring's just going to tick, 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 going back. He's not learning how to be defensive, be a defender, right? And that is the massive problem here, right? Our defenders are not even being defenders. You know what I mean? You know, and the best defender we've got is bloody Ben Davies, and he's bloody injured. You know what I mean? I would even say Dragerson at the moment because at least they know how to defend.
He's killing our players, Alex. He's killing our players.
Look at how many injuries we've got, and it's because of his system. You know, and it's like, oh, we got so many injuries. Well, why do you think? Because we've got how many games? And this game's not just the one. You don't even look at the schedule for January. Look at the schedule for January, and it's not because Europe's not stopped. Europe's not stopped. You know what I mean? And we've got FA Cup. If we get Carabao Cup semi-final, we're going to have to do that in the middle of doing Premier League games and the European game as well. So it's like people complain.
We do run the most, I think, statistically, right? I think in the
Pardon?
league, we do run the most statistically in the league, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, exactly. So it's, like I said, it's like I say, that fixture list is going to do us so badly. And the people are complaining about the schedule. I'm like, well, if you want to get through and win this Carabao Cup, and you want to get through this European thing, like you're gonna have to do this, and even the FA Cup as well. You go to Tamworth, you might think Tamworth's easy, but you're going to their stage. They're going to their stadium on their pitch, so you're gonna have to deal with that. Deal with the Premier League. Deal with Europe that we still not qualified for, by the way.
That's the other thing, isn't it, Alex? Given the way that we've kind of gone from being in a strong position in the Europa League to blowing the last few games, there's no guarantee we now finish in that top 8, which then means that adds another 2 fixtures to your list as well.
Who have we got next? Is it Hoffenheim away?
Hoffenheim away, and then the last game at home.
In the middle of the North London derby, by the way. North London derby as well, by the way.
Yeah.
The last game was the day before my birthday. That's what I remember. Elfsberg or something.
Away from home as well. So, I mean, this is the thing. It's like people keep on moaning about injuries, but I'm sitting there saying, well, if Ange's just going to keep on playing these tactics and, you know, tiring the type players up, it's not stopping in December. It's going to carry on in January. If we carry on the Carabao Cup, if we get to the Carabao Cup final, right, that's going to be in the middle of a European game if we get through as well. So it's like, I don't know where people are thinking all this. And the thing is, the only thing we've got at the moment is January, but I think they're good. I think they're banking on this Yam and Hook to do something.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, Alex.
I think they're banking on this guy to actually catch people out right now.
Oh.
No, in our football club.
We've got no hope, man. No.
Guys, let's rein it back to the Man U game. Let's go for predictions. I know it's tough. And then because we've still got to talk about the Liverpool match before we wrap up tonight. So let's go round, starting with Nige. Man U, I know you said earlier you think we'll win, I think.
Either way, 3-2. I'll go for a Spurs win, 3-2.
Okay. Carl?
2-1 United, I'm afraid.
Okay. Alex?
2-1 Spurs. Just.
And Anthony?
I'm going to agree with Nige. I think it'll be very close. I think it'll be a 1-goal difference either way. So if Tottenham 3-2, United 3-2, I think that'll be goals.
Okay. Thank you. And Haz?
I'm going to stick to the prediction I did when I was on Tottenham away, 2-0 to United.
2-0. Look, I think we will nick it, but it's not going to be pretty. Not going to be pretty at all. Right. It's going to be very, very stressful. And as I said earlier, we must win this game. We have to. We have to win it. We're at home. If we lose that game, and it's not good enough because it's another cup that we're going to go out of again. You know, we went out of them all last season, didn't we? He's got to find a way of winning, and I just hope that he does something a bit different on Thursday, Ange. He has to. If he doesn't, well, like we've been saying throughout the evening, Almarim, he's not a silly manager. You know, he knows how to play. He knows how to get his teams playing. So, look, we'll see, eh? Am I confident with my prediction? No. Hell no. But we'll see, man. We've got to try and look forward to something.
I think this game is more important in terms of, like, not really with the board. I think it's more with the fans. Because if we lose this one, I think the fans will turn on him, like, completely. I think because it's a cup game. In terms of, like, the next game, we'll talk about Liverpool in a minute. I think if we lose to Liverpool, then obviously, you know, it's more to do with the board. But
just one more thing as well on this game. Do you think we've got a lot more injuries than Man United? Man United, I was looking at earlier, they've got 3 players that are possibly out. I think that's Shaw, Mount's never fit anyway. And there's one more. Anthony, do you know who the other third player is? There's another player that he could be missing. Oh, it's the new signing, the right back. Mazwari, is it? I think
Mazwari.
Yeah. Oh, Mazwari. Oh.
Yeah,
I didn't even know that.
Fingers crossed.
He came off in the other day, sorry. I
thought it was just to protect him. Well, okay. That's interesting.
It's not 100%. There's no date on it. Maybe they're just checking on him. But guys, just quickly before we move on to the Liverpool match, is that advantage United because of our injury situation?
I think that defense is a weakness for Tottenham. I think Højlund will have a field day.
It's not Højlund, I'm afraid. It was your wingers. I think they're going to cook us. I think they're going to absolutely destroy us.
I think it's the perfect game for Rashford.
Diallo's going to kill us, man.
Out from the cold.
If he plays, he's going to kill us.
I think Rashford has always caused us trouble when he's played against us. And, you know, if I was Almarin, I'd be bringing Garnacho and Rashford into this game because I think they'll have a field day down them wings.
Agreed. It's just whether Rashford's really... Rashford really disappoints me. I've got to be honest. I think just sums up the Premier League for me. I think he should look at himself and be very... I think this is to sum up some of the players in 2024 now. I mean, he should be ashamed of himself, honestly. He's just an afterthought, honestly. He has one good form and then he turns up and then don't turn up. Then he has good form, doesn't turn up. You know what I mean? It's just... I don't get it. No disrespect, Anthony. It just does not. There's a lot of players out there that just do it for one, and then they just don't kick on. I just think he'll look back and he'll be very, very disappointed in my opinion.
It kind of reminds me a lot of like when Jose said that to Dele Alli in the documentary. He's that kind of player now. Rashford, he'll turn up every so often rather than like consistently.
I can tell you what, Rashford is a perfect Spurs player. You watch us.
Just about to say that.
They won't pay his salary. How much is Rashford on? 350?
That might be the saving grace. Yeah, that might be the saving grace. But him in a Spurs shirt, I'll tell you, it would just fit, wouldn't it? Inconsistency at its finest.
Yeah, exactly. You're right there. Spot on, Carl.
So sorry, just quickly, do we think that's going to kind of favour Man U then, the injury situation? Do you think it gives Man United more of a chance, edge it towards them now?
Depends on, like I say, I can't really look at it right now on injuries. I think whether Tottenham, I think it, like I say, I think I can see the point. It does give them a little, maybe give them a little bit of advantage. But I think for Man United, for me, it is about whether they can cope with us the very early part of the game. For me, that is the most important part for me, because I think Tottenham will always they'll give it a game. They'll give it a game. You know what I mean? Because Ange will not allow it. He will not allow us to not press. If he's not pressing, like if we're not pressing at that first minute, you'll see him rollicking people. You can see him rollicking people, can you? Really? You know what I mean?
Well, I think for me, the advantage United have is we don't have Van der Ven. So, and if we carry on this high line, I think it's going to cause us so many problems.
But like I say, when you look at that Spurs side that he can put out on Thursday night, you tell me where the mass injuries are. It's only one centre-back position that you're thinking, well, that's the real weakness. He can still put out arguably the three stronger midfielders at the club. He can still put out arguably the three strongest forwards at the club.
Yeah,
we've seen Foster's come in and been an able replacement for Vicario so far. So you're only one player really away from being able to argue, well, where's the mass injury crisis that we're looking at here?
Exactly.
The thing for me is
before he said don't complain about injuries. I can't remember when it was. Andrew was like, Managers didn't complain about injuries, and now he's complaining about injuries himself. Like, it's just honestly, it's
the players that have come in for the injured players have been the best players over the last couple of weeks. So I don't see a lot of weakness really.
Okay,
that's the thing.
Okay, I think based on everybody what they said, it's not really massive advantage. Maybe a small bit, but it's not. There's not an excuse. Put it like that, and it's not an excuse for us not to win. So if we do lose, I don't want to hear fans saying, "Oh, injuries."
Oh, there will be excuses. There will be excuses. Trust me.
Alex knows.
Sav's on holiday, isn't he? He's on holiday at the moment, isn't he? But yeah.
Alex knows.
Oh gosh.
Oh guys, listen. Let's move on to that Liverpool game, and then we'll wrap it up tonight. Been a great show. Thanks for everybody watching and getting involved in the chat. We'll try and get some more comments out on screen as well. Look, Liverpool. Guys, what do you think of Liverpool's season so far? Let's just go round. Nige, Liverpool for you?
Yeah, they look good. They look good. I can't see us getting anything. Put it out there straight away. Liverpool look like title winners.
They dropped points. They've dropped points.
They did, yeah, but they were down to 10 men early doors. I just can't see how Spurs beat Liverpool personally.
Okay. Carl?
Yeah, consistency. I'm afraid when you look at Liverpool at the moment, they've got that consistency. They've got, in Salah, you've got a match winner on his own. And when you sort of think about what he'll do to that defensive unit of ours, given the space that he'll get, it scares you, doesn't it? And ultimately, they've got a manager who, as Nigel said, even when they've gone down to 10 men in games early on, he's still figuring out a way to make sure that Liverpool are the best side and the most dominant side in those games. And again, as I've said before tonight, he will just be able to outmanage and get the result that they need. I can't see us getting anything out of that game at all, to be honest.
Okay. Haz?
I don't think Slot's done that many tweaks since Klopp, and that I'm saying it in the praising as a good thing. I think he's done a few tweaks here and there, but he's kind of kept the same sort of side, maybe changed some of the roles of the players, but he's kind of just added a little bit to it. And I think that's going to help them because it's not unsettled them in the sense of they're just carrying on Klopp's work in the sense. That's just my opinion. I just think they just carry on Klopp's work and just in a different way. And I just think not just on paper, because Salah's, I think, out to win the Premier League this season. Like, you can tell he's a man on a mission. I think they're just going to beat us. Foregone conclusion, I think, unfortunately.
Oh, Alex, what's your thinking of Liverpool this season? You've been impressed?
I've been impressed with him. I'm impressed with the manager, well, the coach, because I think he's another coach for me. I think it's very early to say that he's going to be successful yet. You know what I mean? But he has been very impressive. Got to be honest. The way that he's got the best out of certain players, and not brought in a lot of players as well, has been really impressive. What my thoughts whether the game, it'll be like Tottenham to get a result. It'll be like Tottenham getting a result. But I do think that strike force, Salah's fantastic. Salah's fantastic. I love Diaz. Diaz really impressed me last season. I've got to be honest. He was one of the best players.
Really well as well.
Jota's good as well. That front line. I mean, I know Nunes. He has his moments. I've got to be honest. I think he can do a little bit more for me. I've got to be honest. He needs to score more goals. But I do love that. I do love that front line. I do like that front line. Salah's absolutely great. That's an elite player. That's an elite player. You know what I mean? Yeah. I do like the midfield. I think what he's done with Gravenberg is really good. To be honest with you, good on him to do that. Jones is really gaining some confidence as well. And the defense is good as well. And I've got to be honest, I've got to give it to Kelleher. You know what I mean? Like, he's been very unlucky that he's out of that team. I've got to be honest. You know, it is very early days, though. I have to say that, because I have to be consistent, because I was that with Ange and all that. So, but yeah, it's very impressive. I think Liverpool should be beating us. I think, but Spurs, they'll get they'll somehow get a result. Somehow, I've just got that feeling. You know what I mean? But it depends on what happens against Man United as well, isn't it? Really, you know.
You've got the protest as well that day, which we're going to talk about at the end of the show. Yeah, we've got some things to bring up about that. But before that, Nige, could you just take over for a minute? I've just got to do something. I'll be back in a few minutes. Okay. Cheers, Nige.
Okay. So so let's have a prediction from the Liverpool game. Carl, start with you.
3-1 Liverpool.
Nice. Haz?
3-0 Liverpool.
Alex?
I think it might be a bit more closer. I'll give it a 3-2 Liverpool.
It's a weird one, isn't it? Because I kind of agree, Alex. It's the kind of game that we could win. I can't see it, but it's the kind of game we would win, and then we'd lose to Forest and Wolves coming up.
Yeah.
It's so Tottenham, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. But I can't see us win. I think we'll lose 2-0.
They've got to be smart. They've got to be smart, Liverpool. They don't let us come out very easily. You know what I mean? Because we'll press the likes of Van Dijk, whoever's in defence. You know, Trent Alexander likes to go forward, so you could get at him maybe. But I mean, if Liverpool are smart, very smart, if they ride it out for the next 30 minutes, 40 minutes, they're a different team to Klopp's team. Definitely, they're more resolute a little bit more than when they were just gun ho a little bit, or rock and roll football under Klopp. But if they're smart, like they did against Man City, they can get a result. They can easily get a result against Tottenham, because I don't, like I say, I don't rate our front three, even though we're doing well, even though we scored the most goals. I don't rate that front three, and that midfield is so flimsy, it's unbelievable. And I don't care we are a good counter-attacking team. This is what we should be playing like.
But we are, yeah.
But yeah, exactly. I love that. I like that saying, isn't it? He's never gonna let that down, isn't he? No, do you know what I mean? It's who we are, mate. You know what I mean?
So how do we go about beating Liverpool? How would you go about beating Liverpool? What are their weaknesses?
I think if you can get at, the thing is though, I think they'll just keep it tight. That's the thing, and I think we're better when we've got a lot of space. I think the player that's important in all of this is Maddison. For me, I think it's Maddison. I think Maddison's the key here. Maybe a little bit. I'm not Kulusevski's biggest fan, but I think out of the three, I think the most important player for me is Maddison, because if you can get Maddison on the ball, he's the one that can make those important passes. But it's just really how you get that, give him that space to give that those passes. And if you can get him on the ball, getting those passes, and you can get him get those through balls in crucial areas. We've got players that can score goals. I mean, Johnson can score a goal. He can score if he wants to. You know what I mean? I mean, yeah, maybe tap-ins when he's near the goal, and yeah, and Son, he can cause problems when he's on his day. Whether he's good at it, and that's it, really, I don't know. Solanke's going to be very important for me. But yeah,
I think another thing people seem to be missing is that the fact we are playing United, which is quite a big game on Thursday.
Yeah.
And obviously, not just momentum, also we pick up another few more injuries, which is very Tottenham-like. All the players get more tired. I think could affect the result on Sunday as well.
But it's a difficult one because we need space, don't we? We need space, and I don't think Liverpool are going to be that silly to give us space. So this is where he's going to have to be very clever and to try and figure it out, really, because I can see us trying to play in front of them, and they're just not going to let it have. They're just not going to have it. If they're clever, they wouldn't let us. They would just keep it tight and then just break on us. So that it's a difficult thing to answer, question to answer, Nige, because I just think Liverpool are very smart now. I don't think they're going to just go gun hill. So we're not going to have the spaces that we can capitalize on, like Johnson might have. Or I think the best thing is to put Kulusevski on the right, and then maybe put Solanke in the middle. Then you got maybe Son. I sometimes think Maddison should be maybe on the left, maybe. You know what I mean? I think if you put him more in the final third, and then you've got your strong midfielders of Basuma and Sarr, and then you have somebody else there just doing doing the energy, and then you just put, what you do is just get the ball to your front line, and then just take it from there, really, And if if we can occupy one of them, one of the defenders, with Maddison on one side and then Kulusevski on another side, that could give more license to some of the midfielders to go a little bit forward to catch them. You know what I mean? When we're putting the ball in the box and stuff, and that could catch them. But again, I'm not a tactical guy. I'm just putting it out there,
Gotcha. Carl, you got a drop, haven't you, mate?
Yeah, sorry, Nige. Yeah, been a pleasure to be on with you guys, and look forward to catching up with you all soon.
Big up.
Take care, mate.
Everyone.
Big up, Carl.
Yeah, they don't really have a weakness, do they, Liverpool? That's the problem. I don't think. And they will kind of just sit back and just catch us on the counter because they got the perfect strike force to do that.
Nunes is going to be a difficult one, but the problem is with Nunes, he doesn't score goals, doesn't he?
Even Gakpo's looked dangerous on this year as well.
Oh, Gakpo's looking good as well, doesn't he?
Oh, I like Gakpo.
He's a bit underrated, actually.
He's a very he's a
clever player. Yeah,
he's definitely a clever player. I think they've got so many good options up front. So many good options. If one player's not playing well, just hook that person off and just put the other player on, and it causes so much problems, really, for me. You know what I mean? I do think Liverpool should destroy us, but it's just like us, Nige, that we can just do something. You know what I mean? Out of the ordinary. Someone can just do something out of the ordinary. So. Yeah, I think the Man United game, I think Haz is absolutely spot on. That we'll see what Man United, how we do Man United, and then we'll see what the mood is going into that Liverpool game. So but we've got a very hard schedule coming up. So again, if we're going to play this hard hitting, fast paced football, injuries are going to play a part. I've got to be honest. And maybe even the red card, because that's what happened last time. I was not happy with our performance the last time we came to the stadium. I've got to be honest. Even though we're playing like 8 men, 9 men. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I
we're
wasn't
poor.
impressed.
No, welcome back, Dan.
Yeah, sorry about that, to get the kids up.
That's all right, mate.
We got.
Sorry, what have I missed?
Well, just talking about how if Liverpool had any weaknesses, how we could exploit them. But I think we're all pretty much in agreement it's going to be a pretty hard ask.
Look, Liverpool are challenging for the title. They're second in the form table. They're top, right? Aren't they? Right now, top.
Yeah.
The gap's been closed a little bit in the last couple of weeks. We see Chelsea have risen up that league. So it's not, guaranteed Liverpool will win. And I'm sure Man City will come good again at some point this season. I think Man City do need to invest in January. Now, for me, it points towards a straightforward Liverpool win. Now, Liverpool, they play with composure. They play with conviction. And this is what Spurs don't do. We do the opposite. We're chaos football. Ange is bonkers. Yeah, there's so many flaws in our system. But on any given day, if it goes our way, we can win. So I would say, for me, Liverpool should win it. Should be straightforward. All they need to do is Salah to come out of a goal and assist. He's just fantastic. What a player Salah is. They've got the Diaz as well, Gakpo, Jota. I think he's back from injury now. They've got so many. And if you look at the quality of Liverpool's forward line, it makes us look so poor and average. Don't get me wrong. Son on his day is good, but he's getting older now and he's not the same player, and that's not his fault. It's just an age thing, isn't it? Plus Ange's system. But guys, I'm predicting the Liverpool win, but you just never know with Spurs, do you? It wouldn't surprise me if we nick it.
Well, that's what we're saying, isn't it? It wouldn't surprise us if we won this game and then lost the next two. You know, but
this is why I don't get hyped off for a win.
Just don't know,
because it's just like, yeah.
We lost Kyle. Where's Kyle gone?
Oh, he had to go.
He had to drop.
He had to drop. All right, big up.
It's
Kyle.
a difficult one for Anthony because he's a Man United fan, so he's not going to like Liverpool. Talking about Liverpool, he's not going to like it at all, isn't he?
Fair enough. What were you saying, Anthony, about it?
I think I've been saying this all season so far. I think Liverpool can be got at. You saw Fulham at the weekend. If you exploit, that Salah's side, Salah and Trent, I think you could have some joy there. Fulham had really good joy, and I think what I've noticed as well, Liverpool don't press as aggressively as they did under Klopp. And I think if Tottenham can get their to be honest, when I've seen Tottenham's build up, it's been wishy-washy. So if Tottenham can get their build up right and exploit the gaps that appear in Liverpool's system right now, I think there's a case for Tottenham getting a result. But the thing is, I think for me, after just playing United and then just playing Liverpool as well, I think that will be against Tottenham. I think that will be I think it'll be too much in the end. I think Liverpool will run out with the win. I think if Tottenham had a free week this week, then I would have said yeah.
Who have Liverpool got in the week? Who they got in the cup?
Forgot
Southampton away. Is Southampton away? I think.
Southampton away.
I think it's away.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
it is.
They could play their C team against them.
Yeah.
Depends who they have in charge, I guess. But I still don't think the turnover will be enough for them to get a result against them.
No.
Have the Southampton employed anyone yet?
No.
Not yet.
Yeah, they're in talks with a few managers, I think.
All right. Well, it's not really too much to say about the Liverpool game. Let's worry about Thursday first. But Thursday's the bigger game for us. Yeah, Thursday's the bigger game for us, isn't it? Really, the cups. We have to try and win a cup. It's been far too long. But guys, look. Anybody want to say anything about that Liverpool game at the weekend? Any other kind of talking points, if anyone can think of any?
I just want to ask Anthony quickly, if that's all right. For United, as a fan, is Thursday's game bigger for you as well, or is it more league?
Ooh, that's a good question actually, because we've won the cups the last 2 seasons. I think for Amorim to for us to see a sign of progress, the fans will want a win. But for me personally, I don't think we need a win in order to see a sign of progress. But I want us to win. We have to go to the game thinking that we can win. But for me, it won't be a sign of our progress if we don't or if we win. I think for me, I just want to see a performance. I just want to see something that I can again stick by and say we're moving, we're going somewhere. But yeah, other than that, it is a huge game. I think the pressure's on Tottenham more because of where you guys are right now. It's the stage in your development. What is the development?
We're at the beginning, so it's okay.
Yeah. So Postecoglou needs something that Spurs fans can hold on to and say, okay, he is the right man for us. And a win on Thursday could be a huge step to that. But again, it's building on from that consistency, even for both clubs, for me.
Yeah. No, good points, man. Good points. Look, the pressure is on Spurs more than Man United, 100%. Yeah, and I don't know, guys. Look, let's move on to the whole protest thing, because I'm sure we want to talk a little bit about, the man, Levy and co. Nige, can you bring up the slides, mate? Let's get it. Let's read it all out.
Yeah.
It's so important Sunday.
Is that the first one?
Yeah. Let me see it on my screen better. Hold on a second. Let me just get it up. All right, here we go. So we know, most people must know the protest is on Sunday. It's been all over social media. Many YouTube channels have discussed it. So we ask fans to join us for a peaceful protest against the board. Our aim is to highlight our dissatisfaction with the club's current direction in footballing matters. We strongly urge everybody to maintain respect with no anti-Semitic or abusive chanting on the day. We provide fans with balloons and flyers to help amplify our message. We ask fans to release the balloons on the 24th minute of the game to signify the years ENIC have been in charge, followed by chanting, "Let's create a party atmosphere and show our passion for the club while keeping it peaceful. Together, we can make a strong and unified statement." And in quotes here, famous Bill Nicholson quote, "We must always consider our supporters, for without them, there would be no professional football." Very powerful there. Nige, there's a couple more to read, but let's just discuss that one quickly. Take that one off. Let's just take that one off, and then we'll. What guys? Look, what's your thoughts on that?
I have to hop off. I'm going to say my thoughts and then go because I'm meant to on another show. But yeah, like for me, hopefully we get enough numbers. I'm not sure if I can make it down in time because I've got to do something in the morning before I go to the game. So I might not be till in Spurs till like 4 o'clock. I don't know yet, but we'll see what happens. But for me, I've been to protests before. The highest amount we got was like 100. So to make any sort of impact, you need to have like thousands. I know it's a big shout, but if you look at Arsenal, United, Anthony will verify that one. When they protest against the owners, they get thousands of people turn up, and that's when the impact happens. So for me, until I see that, I don't think anything's really going to change. I know it sounds really sad me saying that, but it's like also another thing I considered was if people are pushing for Levyout, will that push Ange to sack? Sorry, push Levy to sack Ange? Like, I don't just know. So you lose that game. Also, another thing, I know this is not directly relevant to the protest, but will that have any effect on the game? Because of, say, if the protest does well, will that mean that the game we might lose because the players put off, or would it mean that there'll be even more chanting in the stadium against Levy and the players won't win? Like, I don't know. It could have loads of different possibilities. But obviously, yeah, you need big numbers to make an impact. So far, the most I've been to is have 100 people, and now I've been to like 4 of them, I think, so far. So yeah, of course, Levyout.
Let's hope there are numbers. Now, there was a certain person in X today telling people not to moan on Thursday. I think we all know who that person is. We're going to repeat names, but I mean that is shocking, isn't it? Really, especially a kind of a big voice in the YouTube world. Alex, did you see that?
Okay, thanks for having me on, Dan.
Cheers, guys. Cheers for coming on, mate. And everybody, please go and subscribe to
Anthony, Box Office, Nigel, and Dan List. Okay, thanks.
Take care, man.
I mean, I don't do I don't do X, whatever it's called, because like I say, I don't do X. I don't do Instagram. I don't do TikTok. I don't do anything. I just go on YouTube and make it box office. Hence the reason why I missed the box office. But anyway, moving on. But yeah, no. Listen, the whole thing with the protests. I'll try and make it. I mean, for some reason I am going to the game. I could have gone to a Caribbean event, really. You know what I mean? To hear some soca music, but that's here nor there. But yeah, because I love this club so much, I end up going to the game. I want to see what Liverpool are all about as well. But yeah, I'm gonna go to. I'm gonna try and make it for the protests. And listen, I want him out. I do want him out, but not a popular opinion at the moment. I can't have a go at the board at the moment. I just can't have a go because they're doing what I wanted them to do in the first place: stick with the manager, and they are sticking with the manager. So I can't really have a go, really.
But the transfer window, though, Alex, the transfer window.
Yeah, but Ange has supported it, so really. And Lange, and like I said before, I've said how embarrassing. I know he's still at the club, but I want Prodigy doing the transfers again, and that is embarrassing because I said I wanted him out of the club because I thought he was embarrassing a couple of seasons ago. But this Johan Lang is absolutely useless, and Scott Munn is just a disappearing act. To be honest with you, I don't even know what he's employed for. Obviously, business, but we made such a big deal when he was employed. So yeah, I can blame him for that. Yeah, he's not football related, Daniel Levy. Yes, my breaking point was done the way he treated Pochettino and then brought in Mourinho, which was never going to work, which I was always right about, even though he should never have sacked him after the cup final, which is exactly why we should not have got him in the first place. But yeah, I would want a different owner, yes, and that's when I can't moan what will happen next. So yeah, I'll hopefully be there. Hopefully we make an impact, but it's a long road ahead because for me, you don't get owners like that out very easily, especially when you've just built a big stadium that is making loads of money. Loads of money. You know what I mean? You don't leave that very easily. That's just me. But I will be there. I'll hopefully be there for the protest, and I do want Levy out all day, every single day.
It's a start, isn't it? It's a start, Alex. It's a start, isn't it? It's got to start. It's not going to. This can't be the last one. It's got to be a regular thing. And even when we're winning it, we've got to have the protests. You know,
I mean, this is no disrespect to Brian and Stelios and all. You know, Brian especially, because Brian, we might disagree on football, me and him. But he's a fantastic lad, and he's gone from heaven and earth to try and get this going. Yeah, he's had to come away from Canada to come to here to protest to get things off the ground. So this guy has gone from pillar to post. So it's no disrespect to those people. I'm not having a go at those people. I respect them very highly. You know, Brian's a very good friend of mine. You know what I mean? So. You know, and Steels is a good friend of mine as well. So, you know, I'm not having a go at them, not having a go at anyone that's Levy out. You know what I mean? I personally, for me, I'm just fed up of talking about it now because the guy's not going anywhere. But I will try and protest as best I can for to get this off the ground and that's it really. You know what I mean? But I've done this 4 years, 5 years now. You know what I mean? There's only so much I can say anymore about the guy Levy anymore. You know what I mean? You know?
Yeah.
So that's just me. You know, other people got more energy because, you know, life outside of YouTube, there's a life out of this. You know what I mean? You know, so that's why I can't really get involved in it too much. You know, but there's other people who've got more energy than me. That's just me.
Fair enough. I'm sure when you get down there, and if there's a big crowd, you know, you'll get involved.
I'll be there if I do best I can. You know what I mean? Support the team, support everyone to try and help as much as I can.
We need change at this club.
Yeah, we do.
We do. It's gone on for far too long. Now, Anthony, it's good that you came on tonight because your club and your fans had a big protest, didn't they? You remember that? And it got a bit messy, didn't it?
Yeah.
And do you feel it helped?
I mean, like we said before, I think when we protest, we come in thousands. So, you know, I'd like to say it did. But even now, as we're under new ownership, you know, there's still some doubts, cracks. You know, we saw what happened with Ashworth. You know, for me, I was shocked, if I'm being honest. But again, I agree with what Ratcliffe was saying about you know, difficult decisions need to be made. If you've got a project or a work or anything like that, and something is holding that project back, you need to cut it off. So it was shocking. It was disappointing because, you know, I'm a big fan of Ashworth, but, you know, at the end of the day, tough decisions need to be made. But yeah, that's my take.
So do you think it's a good thing for Spurs? It's needed, isn't it? It's gone on far too long under this leadership. Before Levy came in, we were regularly winning cups. We were, we weren't challenging for titles, but us fans had something to celebrate, you know, more regularly. It's just not good enough. I've had enough. I'm going to the protest 100%. I've got to be there. I've got to do my bit. I've been saying it since the summer. I need to do something. I can't go on this anymore. You know, the whole thing's a mess. It's all about an entertainment centre now. You know, we touched on it earlier with what was that show that's coming onto the pitch? Some Netflix show, weren't it? It's just, what is the priorities, guys? Come on. And it's just another thing. Go-kart tracks, new flats being built. That their whole focus is on everything else other than the pitch. And that's it. And change has to happen. So for the people who are arranging this protest, fair play to you. And I really hope there's a good turnout. There's a couple more slides that we're going to read out. But Nigel, I haven't heard you on the protest thing. I know unfortunately you can't make it, but I'm sure you'll be there at the next one.
Yeah, well, hopefully. Obviously, it all depends when they are. Simply just because of childcare. I have my 9-year-old, so it's not something I'm best part of 3 hours away as well. So it's not something I can just rock up to. But yeah, I'll certainly be at future ones, 100%.
Yeah, look, let's read the other two slides out because it's important information we need to share if anybody watching this wants to know about the protests. So the meeting point is opposite the club shop. We know the time already. 24th minute, the balloons will be released. It says that we would like to thank the many fans who offered to donate money towards the protest. For now, we are operating as a self-funded movement. We encourage attendees to bring balloons or banners that reflect how they feel. On the day, we will distribute balloons and posters to who wish to send a message to the board. At the 24th minute, we'll ask fans to display them, symbolising the 24 years under the current ownership. Before the game, we'll ensure the protest is entirely peaceful. Our goal is to deliver a unified message, a demand for change. We acknowledge that that past protests may not have gone as planned or misunderstood. This time, we are working diligently behind the scenes to ensure everything is executed correctly, bringing together fans with diverse views but a shared love for the club. What we hope to achieve: number one, clarity on footballing objectives. a clear plan for the club's core footballing goals and key milestones. When will success defined as silverware be achieved? Number 2, improved transfer policy, a shift towards recruiting players who can immediately elevate the team's level, in addition to nurturing youth for the future. Align policies with those of more successful clubs, many of which generate less venue than ours. What we hope to achieve: clarity on the footballing objectives, a clear plan for the club's core footballing goals and key milestones. When will success defined as silverware be achieved? Improved transfer policy, a shift towards recruiting players who can immediately elevate the team's level, in addition to nurturing youth for the future. I've already read this, sorry guys. But look, I think that big spending in line with, this is important, in line with the club's aim to compete with the traditional top 4. And then there's, if you have any questions, there's, I think that's an email there, I think, or Twitter. That's a Twitter handle, I think, at jco at Change for Spurs. So look, guys, yeah, big day on Sunday. Nige, if you could just drop that off the screen for us. Thank you.
Yeah.
Powerful stuff, powerful statements in there. I agree with it, agree with all of it. And look, I hope there's a good turnout on the day, and I hope it's the start of one of many. Change needs to happen. We want to win things. This is the whole point of football. We want to celebrate. We're a laughing stock. No other rival club fans take us seriously, and I'm sick of it. You know, I want to be proud of my team. I want to, I want to be able to big them up, and I just can't do that, especially this season under this manager. I've got no confidence in the team whatsoever, and things need to change. But will it happen? Who knows? But again, please, guys, get down to the protests on Sunday, and let's all come together as one. Whatever you're feeling on the manager, most of us realise the problem, and that is the board. So I'm going to leave it on that. If anybody else wants to say anything else.
You said it perfectly, mate.
Yeah. All right, let's wrap it up. Guys, everybody in the chat, thank you for watching, getting involved with your comments. Please subscribe if you haven't to all of us. Myself, Nige, Anthony, thank you for joining us. Alex, Mr. Box Office, please subscribe to all of us. Karl as well, who's joined us tonight, and Haz as well. And I would like to wish you a good evening, and we'll be back next week for another episode. So we're on a Monday next week. We're not going on Christmas Eve. We're going Monday. And so come down and join us then. 7 o'clock we're going. Got a really good lineup. So come down and watch. Give us a watch. 2 games will be gone after that. We've got the Man U game, Liverpool game. So cool. It could be a feisty show on that
Very
Monday.
depressing.
Really, it could either be ecstatic because we get some good results, or it could be Ange out, full pelt. Who knows? We will see. But guys, big up to everybody watching. Big up to everybody who's joined tonight. And good night, everyone. Take care.
Take care all.
Thank you very much.